Support for The Gaming Outsider is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code THEGOCAST at manscaped.com. Hey there, Gaming Outsiders. On episode 381, Zack, CB, and myself tackled the difficult task of discussing NFTs and their possible future in video games. In news, the Twisted Metal reboot has taken a significant move with a new development team, but the same director. New games discussed include Blackwind and Expeditions Rome. I also played a Metroidvania on Game Pass that was recommended by a listener, and it's really good. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 381 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, January 17th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friend, Zack Parkerson.
How do you do?
I do all right, man, and Chris Behrensmeyer.
Yay!
I am ready to talk about our From the Outside In topic this week. I've been looking forward to it all week. I'm looking forward to learning a little bit about what NFTs are, but before we get to that, Zack, I want to hear about your cavalcade of a list that you've been catching up on this week.
Right, yeah, so I got the PS5, so I was in full swing of gamer mode this week. I guess I've listed a few things in order here. Right off the bat, I finally beat Kenna all the way. My secret, if anybody's playing Kenna, is to just skip all the cutscenes.
Oh, really? Like, the story just does not matter? Or
I think the story is very boring, and the voice acting is so mediocre that it's almost annoying how bad the voice acting is in comparison to the graphics.
Oh, wow.
Which I know is like a weird thing to say. It's just like, well, you had obviously sky high production values here, so it's weird you didn't, put them over there as well. But I did finally beat it. Fun fact about Kenna: if you get your free upgrade to the PS5 version, it does not read your PS4 saves.
So did you have to start over?
No, I just finished it on the PS4 version.
Oh,
I just thought that was really dumb and something that is just not happening on Xbox, right? Like, overall, I will say the transition from PS4 to PS5 is nowhere near as smooth as it should be, or easily could be.
That's a good point, because you've got both right now. So you've still got both plugged into your television at the same time, and you just got to swap back and forth between each?
Right. I do have them both. And honestly, I just downloaded the PS4 version of Kenna onto my PS5. But it's still frustrating that it is as tricky as it is. And it's not super clear when you're looking through the store if you're about to buy the PS5 or PS4 version of a game.
Yeah, because on Xbox, it just automatically gives you whichever one you've got based on your hardware.
Right, it smartly delivers it to you.
That'd be a great name for it. Yeah,
they should look into that. Who knew that such a dumb concept would actually be rather key, because the competition would just blunder it so badly.
So hard punt number one.
I mean, are you gonna like eventually peel away from the PS4 and just be solely PS5, or are you gonna hang on to it?
I think I'm so deep in the PlayStation ecosystem. I don't know if I could. Like, this will be my primary console, the PS5, and then I'll probably have an Xbox, for the exclusives and for Game Pass. But I'm just into the trophies, and I'm into the storefront, and as a fan of PlayStation, I know it can be better. So I want to continue to experience the console and try to hold them accountable to be better, because a lot of this stuff is silly. Like when I tried to upgrade my Miles Morales from PS4 to PS5, it just kept giving me an error, and it was like, you're just not entitled to this. I was like, what does that mean? And then the same thing with Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, I found out by Googling, it was because it was the PS. I had, I guess, at some point downloaded the PS Plus version.
So it thought that was the one you had?
Right, despite also owning it. So it overrode my actual purchase with the PS Plus purchase in their system, which is great.
Yeah.
Luckily, Amazon had it on sale for $30, but it's just needlessly frustrating. And then the Miles Morales thing, I had to open up my PS4 Miles Morales, and it was a lot. I got my PS5 Miles Morales, but then I was like, what if I do want to buy the Spider-Man remastered for PS5? And it's like, well, you can't do that, man, because you own Miles Morales. I was like, yeah, I understand that, but why can't I can I pay you the differential? They're like, nah, dog. But then you go to the Miles Morales menu, it's like, oh, no, you can here, though, just not on the store. I'm like, what is happening?
Doesn't make any sense.
Whereas from what you guys have told me about Xbox, you just go to the store, you click on the thing you want.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, who knew?
It's interesting the experience you've had, because I feel like that's the experience I had when I went from Xbox 360 to Xbox One. Like, I hung on to my 360 for so long for achievements, in case there was a 360 game that wasn't backwards compatible that I wanted to go back and like get some achievements or something like that. But once I got to the Series X, I immediately sold my Xbox One X because I didn't have a need for it. Like, everything was fine. So
I don't think Zack will sell his PS4 though.
Right.
Well,
it is a Spider-Man PS4.
Right.
And it has PT on it, of course. Humble brag.
Mine did have PT on it before I took it to get repaired, and it got destroyed.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, despite the first 2 to 4 weeks allowing you to move PT from PS4 to PS5, the PS5 now blocks any attempt to move PT over.
It's so weird. It was an NFT before NFTs were thing.
It is kind of an NFT.
But how did you like Spider-Man on PS5?
So this is where I'm just going to have to just embarrass myself a little bit, and just the fanboy came out, right? Because Spider-Man PS5 Remastered just seems like a ridiculous thing to pay $20 for, because it should just be a free upgrade as Miles Morales is, and yet I paid it.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the dumb new face that they gave Peter Parker and everything.
Was it distracting?
Yes. Yeah, and I'll tell you why. It's because I only replayed through like the opening or whatever, but just the way the facial animations are, like the skeleton of the animations of the face is obviously for the old face, so it just looks kind of stilted and goofy on the new face.
So it looks like when they superimposed Flynn's face in the Tron movie, where it just looked off.
I was going to give you an incredibly specific comparison.
Okay.
The gentleman who was the game director on Rise of the Tomb Raider also headed up their Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, where they put a new face on Lara, but it looks super weird because the skeleton animation was different. Same guy directed Miles Morales as a spin-off while Brian Intihar was working on Spider-Man 2, but he was also in charge of Spider-Man Remastered, where they put out a new face with stilted animation. I don't know why this guy felt the need to do this twice in his career, but what an incredibly specific thing.
Yeah. That is kind of crazy.
Anyway, yeah, just a fun fact for you. Anyway, it was great, and it does honestly look very good. The ray tracing, I suppose. Thwipping through the city with the haptic feedback on the controller is super cool. And just, I don't know, there was something, by the way, the sun lit off the buildings that looked very cool, and I was just like, man, I can't wait for Spider-Man 2. And most excitingly, all I had to do was boot up the game, and I got a platinum trophy again.
Oh, that's so you just got like a second platinum trophy,
right? You just move your save over, and it's like, here's all your trophies again. I'm like, well, don't mind if I do.
Man, it's like Avatar, only easier.
Right? Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Miles is the same thing, but I still haven't gotten the platinum on that. Then quick aside, I played Final Fantasy Tactics.
Like the original PS1 game?
Yeah, playing it on my Vita. Well, this is the War of the Lions version for PSP. And this is almost a cry to help for the community. If there's any big Final Fantasy Tactics fan out there, hit me up on Discord, man, because I don't know what the hell this game is doing. This game is incredibly difficult for me.
Oh, like you're having trouble actually progressing.
Right, like the math of it, or if I feel like I'm missing systems or something because I'm just getting wiped out.
Huh. So I'm not going to be a help at all.
No, the story is super good. I just really wanted to finally, I was like, that's a new year, you know what? I'm going to play a classic JRPG I've never played. And I booted it up, and it's not going super well. So the story is written very well.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. But
I might have to pull out my copy now.
Yeah, help a brother out. I want to play more of it. But so the PS5 games that I really dived into, starting with The Medium, which is a newest game from Bloober Team, which I know was originally an Xbox exclusive when it first came out. On Game Pass, but it is one of the very rare series games that was not on the Xbox One. So I couldn't play it there. And the way my Game Pass is set up, because I'm sharing with somebody, the way it's set up is I can't actually do the streaming thing to Xbox One. So I finally got to play The Medium as the end of the story on PS5, and it's super cool. I don't know if you guys have played it at all.
I almost finished it, and then I got sidetracked playing different games, so I probably need to go back and finish it.
I think it's really kind of cool, almost a point and click adventure game in some ways, in that you're just kind of scrambling through the environment. But you play as this woman who crosses over to the other world, but it's fascinating because you're playing in both the hellscape and the normal world at the same time, and you kind of have to help yourself out. I don't know. I think it's pretty clever. It's incredibly linear, so I guess if you don't like those kind of games, this is not going to be thrilling. But I do love those kind of games, and they don't really exist anymore.
I hated some of the chase scenes.
I have not gotten to a chase scene yet. I don't think. But that's good to know. I don't know. I really like the protagonist. She's cool, and it's got the kind of narration that I enjoy. I don't know. I'm really digging it. It's not going to be for everybody though.
It's one I'd like to go back to. I meant to check it out because that was an early Game Pass game, wasn't it? Like when it first dropped, and because I was real excited about getting a quote unquote free game, and I just never even downloaded it. So I need to right that wrong, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's super, especially if you miss those directed kind of gaming experiences that we haven't really seen since the 360.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it because it's got like, old school Resident Evil camera angles in a throwback sort of way.
That's static, like.
Yeah, which is cool. I haven't seen those in a while. I think those remothered games have it, but it's just not a thing a lot of people are doing anymore.
Right.
So it's almost a novelty.
Not since Nier.
Oh, right, The Mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at me pulling up a Nier reference.
Oh my god, I gotta marry you. I like it. But I'll tell you, the best game I played on PS5 is Astro's Playroom.
That's just crazy to me that's like the best game.
I loved Astro's Playroom. I got the Platinum Trophy already.
Wow. How long did that take?
Yeah, only like 5 or 6 hours to get the Platinum. It's an incredibly short game.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it is incredibly clever, and I think I mentioned this last week when I had just started, but it loves PlayStation the way that I love PlayStation. Like, and it just celebrates these deep cuts and probably the way you guys feel about your retro games. I feel about PlayStation's career, and it was just super cool to see, and all the Astrobots referencing like Devil May Cry shootouts, and there's a Heavy Rain reference, which I thought was crazy. You see an Astrobot getting rained down with an origami paper on him. It's really fun.
Did you ever come across anything that you did not know the reference, knowing how long your depth of knowledge is, or how deep your depth of knowledge is?
No, I want to say there was one like PS1 accessory that I wasn't aware of.
Mm-hmm.
But then I found it was Japanese only.
Oh, well, that would make sense.
Which one?
It was some kind of. It was like almost looked like a VMU competitor. Like it looked like a memory card you played almost, or like those old kind of Tamagotchi things.
It was the one for the Chocobo, I believe.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you honestly.
Because if I remember correctly, the one you're talking about had like the Chocobo mini game on it that was only available in Japan.
I mean that sounds quite possible, but yeah, it was super cool. But in terms of the actual game references, no, I don't think there was anything I didn't understand. You can even find Alucard hanging out in a coffin.
It's funny because I haven't played my PlayStation 5 in almost a year, and I was playing the exact same thing this week.
The haptic feedback on the controller for this thing is out of control. Like, even different metals feel differently. Like the PlayStation logo in the main room is a different texture than the metal floor next to it, and they feel different to walk over. It is insane. And it will never be replicated in another title because no other title is trying to demo the controller like that. But it's awesome.
Like the possibilities are there, and it's just like I feel like we're not going to see it as much as we could.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of the adaptive triggers.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't imagine a lot of the haptic feedback will be there.
I'm glad you like the controller as much as I do, because I said the same thing when I got it. This might be my favorite controller.
Yeah, I love it. I love it to death.
It just feels solid. Like, I mean, the PS3 and PS4 controllers always felt like I was going to break. And this just feels like a meaty controller that contours to my hand the way that I want it to.
Yeah, I'll give you the PS3 controller. Those things always felt flimsy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Astro, incredible. I wish there was more of it. I want a sequel would be top dollar. I would pay big money for that. I would pay the full $70 I don't even care. I loved Astro's Playroom. The final boss, I was just grinning like a moron the whole time.
What a spoiler!
It's just a very obscure PlayStation reference.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We're talking like PS1 tech demo reference. Like it's super cool.
I'm curious what that is now.
I know what it is because I did the fight too.
It's really good. Yeah, but I guess the last one, which I know you wanted to hear about, Scott.
I do.
I have played, I think, 8 or 10 hours of Returnal now.
Okay. On Twitter, you sounded like you didn't know how to feel about it. Has that changed at all?
I have no idea how to feel about this. But shout out to Nindy Nation. He did make. I think he is correct in what he said. If you saw his response, Scott, he's like, it's a AAA roguelike made by a team of developers who have apparently never played a roguelike.
I remember that. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like, and you know how many times I've tried to dip my toe into this genre, and Hades obviously I love to death, and this game's design is kind of confusing in that way because for one thing, there's really no permanent upgrades
at all.
Your character Celine does not get stronger every run,
which is kind of the draw for a roguelike for me anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that's what helped me, push through on Hades, or what's exciting about Binding of Isaac is that small sense of progression of like, yeah, I died on the boss this time, but next time now I know I can beat him.
Right.
And that's absent here. Like the big thing you're doing is you're unlocking more items to spawn from this machine in your like base area. And it'll like spawn more item drops from enemies, but all that does is make the pool bigger, and I feel like I'm less likely to get the item I want that way.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I think it is a very pretty game. Like just like in terms of art design and atmosphere, like it really sells the creepy kind of. It's almost like a sci-fi horror vibe to it, which is kind of fun. And I really do enjoy the combat and the enemy design and the enemy encounters. Like these aliens, they all have like tentacly kind of things, which makes sense because it's pretty clear that some kind of eldritch cosmic horror has a hold on Celine's mind, who's a spacefarer who crashed on this planet, and is using things from her past, or maybe it's all a dream, right? Like very Lovecraftian in that way. So that's cool. But I just like that the enemies, they shoot hell bullets at you.
I remember seeing that in some of the trailers and gameplay footage.
I think it's a lot of fun when games do that. Yeah, but I honestly, even after 8 hours or whatever, I'm like, I have no idea how to feel because it feels even more so than the roguelikes I've played. The builds are so essential. Like if you don't find whatever gun treats you like whatever you feel like you're good with. In that first area, you may as well restart the run. Because the odds of you getting it are getting slimmer the further you get in as more weapons spawn and stuff. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't, it feels like it's wasting your time in that way because you restart from zero every time.
Right.
But the combat is just incredibly engaging, so you don't mind playing the game itself. It's just, it doesn't feel, I don't know, it feels like I'm hitting a brick wall every time I die.
And that's like one of the tough selling points on people that don't play roguelikes is like, oh, what do you mean I gotta start all over from the beginning? Well, and you say, well, you start at the beginning, but you come back stronger. And in this one, you just have more options as opposed to having any kind of permanent upgrades.
Yeah, and I like Celine as a protagonist because I like the very scientific way she approaches the things you see, where she'll be like, the Xeno life forms, are aggressive and they hunt in packs, or just she's making observations that a space explorer would make, and she's really cool. And obviously, she has some kind of tragic past, either involving her mother or her daughter. It's not entirely clear, and she's definitely got some kind of psychosis. And she's just a very interesting protagonist. I want to see more of her and her story. But even the story drops are random. You have to have her house spawn in the environment. It's just, I don't know. It's difficult to wrap my head around and whether or not I like it. And I've beaten the first 2 bosses, and I'm on the third. It is nice. There are shortcuts you can take that'll take you from the first world to the third world or second world without having to beat the boss again. And I'm not entirely sure what the bonus is to killing the bosses like a second
Now,
time.
If you do that, you're not missing out on any kind of upgrades or anything like that, right? Or
No, so when you jump to World 2, like the big thing you care about during your run is going to be your weapon proficiency, and that the more you shoot and kill things, the more you get weapon proficiency, which makes the weapons that'll spawn during your run a higher level and have more attributes and benefits.
Oh,
but when you skip the world, it'll like auto jump you to proficiency 5 or proficiency 10 or what have you. So it gives you the leg up.
okay. But those proficiency levels reset at the beginning of each run as well, right?
Right, correct. Yes, everything resets. Your parasite upgrades reset, which are fun in the moment because they give you a perk, but they also give you a detriment. So you have to weigh the pros versus the cons if you want to pick it up. And yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating, but it's fun in the moment. But then as soon as things can turn so bad in roguelike so fast,
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just the wrong combination of enemies, and then you die, and you're like, it just sucks. You're like, well, I was in that run the runs of this game are long. They could be an hour, 2 hours, one run, which seems long for a roguelike. And then for it to all just turn bad, and then you're like, that was 2 hours where I accomplished nothing because nothing carries with you at all.
Right, you're really just getting better, like as a player, not as a character.
I guess so. You're learning more, but I don't know.
I still feel like I need to get my hands on this game to truly understand it because I just.
Yeah, and I think it does cool things where especially with the adaptive triggers, where if you do a half pull, it's how you aim, but if you do a full pull, it's alternate fire, which sounds frustrating at first, but the stop the trigger gives you in the middle is very firm, so it's kind of hard to go further than you want. It feels very good to play, but I don't know if it's worth it, especially somebody who cares about story as much as me, to keep banging my head against this wall.
Right, and that's coming from a guy that loves Souls-like games.
Yeah, well, the difference in Souls-like is that you're mastering your environment because the level is always the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know where that enemy's going to come. You almost feel like you're not this time, buddy. When you
right.
reach your first area.
This is like procedurally generated.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are mini bosses in each area, and they're significantly harder than the bosses, and they lock you in the room with them, and it kind of sucks because as soon as you see them, you're like, well, there's about a 70% chance my run's over.
Right.
I don't know. So my mind is not made up. Sorry about monologuing so much at the top, everybody. I played a lot of games on PlayStation.
Yeah, no worries. I was especially eager to hear about Returnal, so I'm still not quite sold. I can't decide if I'm going to be sold or not.
It is a game you need to play to make up your mind on, I think.
Okay.
Especially because the story is so vague, and so it's kind of hard to recommend on that notion. So you really just have to get your hands on it because the combat loop is extraordinary. Okay. I do want to stress that combat when you're in it feels great.
I will try it one day. I will. CB, what else have you been playing besides Astro's Playroom?
Lake.
Really?
Yep. Downloaded it, been playing it.
Did you finish it?
Not yet, because it was a busy week. We had Jameson's birthday party over the weekend, so.
Gotcha.
Relaxing game, but weird.
I told you, very relaxing.
It's some of the interactions are just weird, especially the cat lady.
Yeah, she's bizarre.
Yeah, but it's relaxing to just like drive around this lake, deliver some mail. Like, oh, it's interesting. The story is kind of light-hearted, I guess. Especially like for being a game that takes place in the 80s. So
it's very slice of life. Yes,
I will give you that. So I'll probably have it finished up tomorrow. But yeah, it's a interesting little take. Glad it was on Game Pass, so I didn't have to buy it. So
yeah, I love full $20 worth every penny I spent on it.
So
are you trying to date the video clerk or the lumberjack?
The video clerk.
Yeah, she's cool.
So I actually had a lot of fun just wandering around the video store reading the fake movie titles.
Oh, they like parodied after real movies?
Yeah, Ghost Blasters.
Right.
Is the
my
logo
favorite
like
one.
somewhat similar or
Kind of.
kind of? Yeah.
Like you could tell what it is, or Back to the Present.
Right.
I'm
I
like,
like
oh gosh, this is terrible. But
And then but then weirdly, I feel like Star Wars just says Star Wars. Or am I misremembering that?
she makes references to like other movies, like Nightmare on Elm Street and
Yeah.
Jaws. I'm like, but we couldn't get these other ones.
Yeah, it's very funny in that way.
Hmm.
Yeah, man, but
So
it's a zen time.
Need those
Just
every
drive-
once in a while.
Just driving around in the big goose.
Yes, yeah, the goose, absolutely.
So
I'll add it to the list. I need some Zen games every once in a while. But
Right, your lawn mowing simulators?
oh man, that's such a Zen game. Did you ever try it?
No, I haven't.
I dare
did.
you,
I
man,
got
because
bored.
I've had people message me saying that, holy cow, you were right. This is a very relaxing, satisfying game. But I tell you what was not relaxing was I jumped back into Borderlands some more with my crew. It was Joel and CJ and Christina. We didn't play nearly as long as we did that first session. We only went up about 3 levels this time as opposed to 10. The first time we sat down and played till 3 a.m, and we all 4 agreed that we were not going to be staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning because I think we were both wrecked the next morning. But still having fun with that. We're going to be doing that each Friday, and I'm going to hopefully start streaming that as well, so some people can come watch if they want to, because we had some really good laughs. One in particular where one person thought their mic was muted when they went to have a conversation with someone else in the house, and it was quite funny.
Who's playing Lilith?
Christina is playing Lilith.
Man, Christina and I are such kindred spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Before you jump into the next game that you're very excited to talk about, CB has the format here, Astro's Playroom. Now, he didn't super weigh in when I talked about it. I just wanted to see if he had anything exciting to say about it.
It's cute. I love the game. I just wanted to finish.
Ridiculous.
I legitimately thought it was funny that you and I were both playing this week without even talking about it.
Oh, see, I thought I inspired you, and that's why I wanted to talk to this. Okay.
The wife and I put a TV in our bedroom, and rather than buying another Google Chromecast, I was like, "Oh, screw it! I'll just put the PS5 in there," and plugged it in and just started playing some Astro's Playroom. And
might I just say, outside of Astro's Playroom, I don't think there's a single PS5 game that couldn't run on PS4 that I've played.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Astro's only because of the controller.
Yeah. I'll agree.
Yeah. Returnal would have longer load times, but that's it. Anyway, that's my way in. Sorry. Talk about your very long title game.
Oh my god, this is the worst thing about the game is the title. Record of Lodos War, Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth is the game that I played. Do not let the title sway you. I absolutely loved this game. It is a gear-gated 2D adventure.
I love how he always adds the 2D adventure.
Well, because sometimes there's a gear-gated, it can be in 3D.
Right.
So
you just say it's a 2D
gear-gated 3D adventure.
It's a 2D gear-gated game.
2D gear-gated game. And I have to give a shout out to Brian Regals, who actually reached out to me on Messenger and said, "Hey, have you played this game? You got to try it." And I was like, "I'll add it to the list and think about it." And he kept talking about it. And so I downloaded it and was immediately hooked. Apparently, this is based on a either novel series or graphic novel series. I can't remember for sure. That was actually turned into an animated series, which, by the way, CB is on Plex. Just a heads up. I found that out.
I know.
Was that from you or was that from Nate?
No, it was Nate.
So I may go into that because I said that the title is the worst thing about this game. The thing that is kind of frustrating is the story. While, Zach, I think you'll enjoy it because it's a love story. I was not expecting it to be a love story. But the game drops you in, and I assume it drops you in as if you are familiar with the lore or the original characters in the story and the animated series or whatever, because you're introduced to all these characters as if you've seen them before. Like your character, Deedlit is her name. She runs across these characters and there's no explanation or backstory. It's just like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And their answers are very cryptic. But So the story is not the big selling point, although I really appreciated what they did with the overall story. But it kind of feels like this game is based on one of those characters, and there are other ones coming that would be based on one of the other characters that we saw in the game. But I don't know for certain. I'm not that familiar with the property. But that's not the selling point of this game. The selling point of this game is its mechanics, and that it does something that I've never seen in a 2D gear-gated game. In that, number one, it feels like you're playing an arcade game, CB, so I think you're going to be all over this. I mean, there's even like when, you know how if you go to a door and it'll give you a prompt to press up to go into the door?
Yeah.
The up prompt is a big red joystick knob that pushes up.
Okay, so it's got the prompts that
like Metal Slug.
Metal Gear. Yeah, Metal Slug.
Metal Slug, yeah. It has those kinds of things. Even the animations and things feel like an arcade game or a 16-bit game where, I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the fake explosion noise from the 16-bit era. You know what I'm talking about? Like in the Metal Slug games when something blows up, it's just got that weird, I don't know.
Staticky echo.
Yeah. And here's the part that I think you'll really like, CB. This, I don't even know how to describe this to you because it sounds insane when you hear it. This is a gear-gated game that has shmup mechanics, where you collect power-ups and then you're slowly getting those. As you collect those power-ups, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. It's like that, but only at 3 levels. And boy, this is tough to describe. You basically get these 2 spirit creatures that are like your that provides you with your magic abilities. One is wind-based and one is fire-based. And whenever you attack while having one of them armed, you can toggle between the 2. Whenever you attack with one, it fills up that meter and it'll go from level 1 and eventually go to level 2 and level 3. So the more enemies you kill while having one of these spirits armed, it goes up. And as you go up, your items your attacks get more powerful. And then you switch over to the other one and you fill up the other one. The cool part about that is when you have one of them powered up to level 3 and you switch over to the other one, the one that's level 3 fills up your HP, just slowly replenishes your HP, which sounds like, hey, that's something handy, but it actually becomes a strategy when you're fighting bosses. So you go into a boss with both of them filled, you get hit, you switch over to the one, start slowly rebuilding your health while you're attacking with the other one, and then you keep going and going and going until you get hit, and then you switch back over to the other one. You kind of do this juxtaposition thing. It works incredibly well, and it makes incorporating that health regeneration into the combat is just brilliant to me. I absolutely loved it. On top of that, the other selling point for you, CB, is that it does the Ikaruga thing, where when enemies attack you with fire damage, as long as you have the fire spirit activated, you can absorb those attacks. But you can only attack them when you have the opposite. It gets confusing. It's very binary focused, but it's still it's great, man.
How long is the switch time?
The switch time? Like instantaneous. Yeah. It's like you just press the RB button, like on Ikaruga, where you press one button and it flips back and forth. You don't have to go to a menu. I just didn't know
because if depending on how it's set up, I mean, you can abuse that pretty hard. So.
I mean, it's not quite as much bullet hell as it is. It's not a super tough game either. I mean, it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park or anything. Some of the bosses will give you some trouble, but I don't think I died more than 3 or 4 times on bosses, even the final boss. It just takes a pattern memorization deal, and it's awesome. It's really, really cool. I just wish it were better titled, and I wish I knew more about the lore. I actually want to go watch some of these. Some of the series just to see what I'm missing, and the ending alluded to there being more in the series as well too. But at its core, when you start it up, it feels like Symphony of the Night. The animations feel like Symphony of the Night. The way the things that you pick up are Symphony of the Night. The way that you arm them or you equip them are Symphony of the Night. So if you like Symphony of the Night, which I think one of you either never played it or wasn't a fan, I can't remember.
I've never played it.
Okay.
Not a fan.
Oh, wow. Okay, I had both of them, but it's better than well, no, it's not better than Symphony of the Night. It's not. It's like a simpler more concise, bite-sized version of Symphony of the Night with this cool mechanic that I just can't get enough of. And I walked away from it. I beat it. I walked away from it wanting more. Like I just want more of this mechanic. I love the music. I love how easy it was to navigate. I love how bite-sized it is. I'm getting old, man. I want my 6 to 8 hour games as opposed to these longer ones. So again, it is on Game Pass. If you want to try it out, it's a Record of Lodos War, Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth, and thank you to Brian Regals again for the recommendation. I probably never would have played it otherwise. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. Have a new trailer for a game called Kung Fu Kickball that's available on PC, Mac, and consoles on February 10th. It looks hilariously fun. The Hitman trilogy will be available on Game Pass January 20th. Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl has been delayed. Switch Online members can try Captain Toad Tracker for free starting on the 13th, going all the way to the 20th. And Twisted Metal, its reboot is going to be under new management. We've also got PS3 games that may be coming to the PlayStation Store for PS5. And Sony may be making more PS4s to combat the scarcity of the PS5. Lots of things to talk about here. Zach, where would you like to start?
Oh, man. I think the Stalker news might be the biggest. Because that was a pretty major Xbox exclusive. It got delayed from, April, end of April, all the way to the beginning of December?
Correct.
That's pretty,
I don't know if busy time of year.
I don't know, man. I think the first quarter, it might be better in December, actually.
You think so?
I don't know, man. It feels like, I don't know if you looked at February. There's no way we'll be done playing by April.
Well, February is that game on PS5 you want to play so bad.
Elden Ring,
and Horizon.
Right. For the losers. Sifu. Yeah, so I don't know. I just think I think that's kind of big news. It's not. I thought from the momentum of Halo, would have been nice to have the momentum carry it to Stalker for an Xbox exclusive. Because now it's looking kind of barren up front for Xbox. Up against Horizon and Kirby. The competitors have their exclusives coming out.
Kirby does look great.
It does look great.
I'm not even a Kirby guy. That just looks like I want to play it.
I mean, it almost looks like a sequel to Odyssey.
Yeah.
But Stalker Game Pass, a mighty blow, I would say.
I agree.
But I mean, at the same time, though, we're so used to delays anymore.
Yeah, no, of course, and I respect the hell out of them for not using the word COVID anywhere.
Yeah, because it's been it's just been the go-to excuse for delaying games recently.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I know some hardcore Stalker fans are just like really chomping at the bit to get this. We got plenty to play.
No doubt.
Plenty.
I just meant in terms of the zeitgeist in the conversation. Now Xbox has nothing in the fight.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's the bummer of it.
Yeah.
Just gotta drive those Halo Infinite numbers.
Season 2 co-op surely will be here by May, I hope.
Man, that might be worth going back to play through with friends.
Maybe those are playing all along.
Just to get us back in.
Right.
Then we go through Legendary.
Oof. I don't know, man. CB, what about you? Which story do you want to talk?
Well, I guess since I brought it to you guys, we'll talk about this PlayStation 4 stuff for a moment. So Sony's apparently making 1 million more PS4s. Saying that it's to combat the scarcity of the PS5 with the void in the PlayStation Marketplace. So there's plenty of PS4s out there, man. Like, do you really need to make 1 million more? Because to me, I'd be like, all these chips and people and other things could be utilized to do other things.
Well, they're not the same chip, right? Or are you talking about just anything outside of video games even?
Just anything. Like, here, let me make sure that these people are still doing something. So make some more PS4s, even though we're now selling PS5s. It seems like an odd time to be making 1 million more consoles.
Was it for sure? They said 1 million. I didn't read that number.
I read somewhere on Twitter in one of the articles that they were making up to 1 million more consoles.
Yeah, man,
That's a lot.
I think it sucks regardless.
Why do you say that?
Just at this point, I just feel like people are desperate for the PS5, right? And putting more PS4s in the market. Yeah, I get even their verbiage of keep gamers within the PlayStation ecosystem says, yeah, we want people to double dip, basically. Like,
that's kind of how I felt when I read it. It felt like a slap in the face. Like, we just want your money.
Like if we really want you to have a PlayStation, and we're really hoping Grandma makes a mistake at the store and gets you PS4.
Well, I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Like it just seems kind of scummy, top to bottom, which checks out with most of PlayStation's decision making in the past, 12 months or so.
Right.
So no surprise there, and it just, I just think it sucks, man. I just think it sucks.
Well, to me, it kind of screams that, hey, you guys don't need a PS5.
Yeah, dude, that's also true. And well, I guess I just said that like 10 minutes ago on the show as well. As a new PS5 owner, I could tell you, you do not need a PS5.
At the same time, though, like, if you're going to... I still see PlayStation 4s on shelves currently. Wouldn't it make more sense, like, hey, we're going to make 1 million more, but we're going to drop the price?
That's the scummiest part of it. I mean, the fact that PS4 price hasn't come down at all with PS5 sucks.
Yeah, nope, still full bore. Still pay the $300.
Because let's say you're out there and your PS4, you're a huge PlayStation gamer, you play it every day. Now your PS4 breaks, and you want to try to wait for PS5, but basically you've just gotten told that, like, that's not going to happen, buddy. But we do want you to pay up a full price replacement on PS4.
Or like that even a program like, if you buy the PS4 now, we'll knock $100 off the PS5. Like, entice people. But no, they're just like, no, you're Sony fanboys. We know you're gonna spend the money.
They don't need to entice anybody. The market has told them, like, if you don't have exclusives, if you're difficult to find, if you're overpriced, we don't care about any of that. We will just buy everything you have. That's what the market has told them.
I mean, even like, let's say they do make 1 million more consoles. That's okay. So, you still have to get parts and combine them. So get people to make them, get people to ship them, and put them on shelves. Like, that's a lot of money you're shelling out that you could be using to, I don't know, source towards like finding a new way to make chips in-house so you don't have a chip shortage.
I think PlayStation needs a Phil Spencer badly.
I would actually agree with that.
Yeah, Jim Ryan is not the guy. He clearly does not care about video games. Every interview he's given, he has made it abundantly clear he does not. But,
what's interesting to me is that, like,
sorry,
go ahead.
I was just remembering. There's an interview where they were like, "So, what's the game that's catching your attention right now?" He's like, on the PlayStation 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, it sure is a technical showcase. I'm like, you can't even answer the question in a non-commercial way? All that says to me is you've not played Ratchet and Clank, but you think you want to sell more copies of it.
That sounds like the most scripted bullet point.
It's such a Jim Ryan. If you follow PlayStation like I do or whatever, like, that's such a Jim Ryan-ass thing to say.
I don't know.
Who would want to play classic PS1 games on their PS5 anyway? They'd look terrible. This man runs PlayStation.
He said that?
Yes.
Nobody wants to play classic games because they look good. They want to play them for nostalgia because they want to remember.
Man. This is bizarre.
Like, as much as the world is like embracing nostalgia and things like right now, I'm surprised they're not hopping all over it.
Yeah, they should. Anyway, this sucks. That's I think
what's funny is, like,
off topic.
Shortly after we got this announcement, I thought it was funny that, like, Microsoft just came out and said, "Oh yeah, we discontinued production of the Xbox One like at the end of 2020 or something like that," and that was the news that came out. Like, yeah, we're moving forward. We're focusing on the Series X and the Series S.
Yeah, like within an hour, Sony's like, "Oh, we're gonna make 1 million more." Xbox is like, "We're done."
It felt almost like quickly enough to
first?
it was like how Sony came back and said, "Here's how you share games on the PS4."
Right.
It was like that quick of a response. Like,
well, it's like,
yeah.
Not only are we embracing the future, but you can get one of our next gen boxes for $300.
Mm-hmm. Or for what, $25 a month?
Right. Yeah, I forgot all about Xbox All Access.
Yeah. So
did you see? I think it was just today. Phil Spencer had a little interview where they asked him about Sony's version of Game Pass.
Yeah, he said, "I think that's great. I think that's the way it's going to go."
Well, and they're like, "Do you think they would have day one? Or would you think their first party studios would have their games on their day one?" He's like, "They would have to."
Yeah,
I thought that was really funny because even Phil Spencer knows that it would be stupid not to do that. But I guarantee you, PlayStation would be like that. No, we believe in the quality of our first party content. We can't put it on a subscription service.
You'd sell a whole lot of subscriptions if you did.
Still just love the fact that Phil Spencer's like, "Let's go.
Dude,
bring it."
He started a long-term plan 4 years ago, and it's starting to pay off. And I think he's getting a little happy about it.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the Twisted Metal reboot. Number one, because I, for some reason, did not know this was happening.
I think it's one of those open secret things.
Is that what it is?
I don't think it's been officially announced.
But apparently things hadn't been going well. It's completely under a different team. So Lucid, who's behind Destruction All-Stars, we all know how well that game went. They're no longer going to be developing the game, and the game is instead going to be handled by Sony's recently acquired Firesprite, who is responsible for the Playroom and the Persistence. Also, Matt Southern, who was the director of the game over at Lucid, will now be the director over at Firesprite. They basically shut down the studio and took the director with them to come run the new studio, which I thought was interesting.
So they believe in Matt Southern, at least.
Correct. I mean, he was in charge of a bunch of MotorStorm games in the past, too. I don't know if you guys played those, but that was one of the first PS3 games I played. It kind of blew my mind back then, because that was the first game where you hit a bump and I saw springs and stuff flying off of the car or the buggy or whatever, and I was like, that was my, oh my god, the players in Madden blink moment from PS2. That was my PS3 version of that. But I'm more or less curious how you guys feel about more Twisted Metal, because the PS3 one, I think it was PS3.
Twisted Metal Black.
No, that was 2. That was
Twisted Metal 2012.
Yeah, I was very, very lukewarm on that. It didn't feel like a Twisted Metal game to me.
It's been a while since we've had one of those games.
Yeah, about 2012.
Yeah, well, but I mean, even in that style of game,
I can't think of another developer that did
a vehicle
combat game.
Destruction All Stars.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember when Twisted Metal came out, because it was Twisted Metal, Rogue Trip. There was a couple other ones.
Rogue Trip?
Yes, there's a game called Rogue Trip 2012 that was a vehicle combat game in the style of Twisted Metal.
Oh, okay.
Which featured the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones for the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Yeah,
I remember those guys. I don't know. I feel like with Twisted Metal, you got to go back to your roots of Twisted Metal in terms of just simple vehicle combat with just a dark as hell story for each character.
Right, you gotta have Calypso, Sweet Tooth, all of them. I think Dollface was in 2012. She was cool. I think I haven't played Destruction All Stars. I went to download it on PS5 because I actually think it looks really cool. But then I assumed it was just going to be one of those games that was always free, but I guess I want $20 for it, and I don't think it's going to happen for me, dog.
Yeah.
That is the kind of game that screams free to play. No offense,
and
it might just be because it looks so much like Fortnite and its art style.
Oh.
So I don't really have an opinion on Lucid one way or the other. I think Destruction All Stars looks cool, but from what I've heard, it's quite terrible. And I know they also had on foot stuff in that game, so. Maybe they're trying to implement that in Twisted Metal, and PlayStation was like, why?
I hope not.
But you could see why at PlayStation you would see Destruction All Stars and be like, hey, once you guys wrap this up, Twisted Metal, obviously.
Right.
But then it comes out to lukewarm reception. They're like, hey, guys, actually, not going to happen.
Right.
It kind of, but it really reminds me of. Do you remember when Final Fantasy VII Remake was going to be developed by CyberConnect 2?
No, but
yeah,
sure.
Well, it was originally going to be developed out of house by the Dot Hack guys.
Oh,
and then Square Enix, so it was like, you're straying too far from what we had in mind. We're going to bring it in house, and it feels like that's exactly what happened here.
Gotcha.
And I think that was wise. And I also think Twisted Metal, PlayStation lacks a live service game, and I think Twisted Metal will be perfect for that.
Mm-hmm.
You can add new cars all the time. I'm really excited about this. I have a lot of nostalgia for the earlier Twisted. Well, I guess all the pre-2012 Twisted Metals. So I'm all for a Twisted Metal game. I don't
or
know
make it where you can
is.
design your own car, man. Like design your own vehicle.
I can see why that would be. I can see why that'd be appealing, and you're probably right, because
not for me.
This customization is so trendy. You could probably slap some NFTs on that bad boy. But there's something so important about the characters to their car relationship in Twisted Metal for me.
Was Lucid a PlayStation-owned studio?
No.
And
they're not in the first-party ecosystem.
Okay. So I wonder if that's just kind of what it is. They were like, yeah, we want to bring this in-house in case somebody else decides to snap up a studio.
Yeah, and I feel like Matt Southern coming with this kind of evidence to, like, whether or not they like the direction of whatever Twisted Metal they were making, it probably just makes more business sense to, like, we own Fire Sprite, they don't have a project in development, let's give them Twisted Metal. Matt Southern wants to leave Lucid anyway, let's get him over here. Let's
I was going to say it's probably a sum of all the above.
Yeah, I think it just makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, but fingers crossed that turns out well, because...
Yeah, it's gonna be weird to play a Twisted Metal without David Jaffe's input.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's just so attached to that brand in my mind, but I know I don't think everybody agrees with that. Do you remember when he came out on the E3 stage with a sweet tooth truck?
And he said soon.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Last thing I want to mention, just very quickly, how cool is it that Hitman, all 3 games are coming to Game Pass? A series that I've not touched, at least in the recent incarnations of it, and I've heard nothing but good things about them.
I might actually play it now, since I don't have to buy it.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Nothing but good news there. Also, the Captain Toad being free, I did not know about. That's also exciting.
Mm-hmm. I already have it because remember when I got that pricing error?
Yeah, you mentioned it often. I
love finding errors like that. I got it for like $5.
Hey, I'm all for it, man. You're stealing from a major corporation. I'm cool with that.
They didn't have to honor it.
That's true. But then when they don't, everybody loses it as though like it's some great offense.
I know, right? Yeah.
But then they'll all go to eBay and pay a scalper $700 for a PlayStation.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Want to remind everybody that we do have a Patreon available. If you guys would like to help offset some of our costs each month, we have quite a few listeners that do this, and we really do appreciate it. It allows us to pay for, internet hosting and all that good stuff, as well as to, pick up some games to review and then turn around and give them back to the community. We don't keep a dime for ourselves. We really do appreciate it. And if you would like to check that out, you can go to patreon.com/thegocast and sign up. And if you sign up for $3 a month, you'll get an additional bonus episode. And if you sign up for $5 a month, you will get an additional second episode as well. CB, what is available for people to listen to right now?
Well, our Break the Seal on Star Fox is Star Fox 64. Our video game movie review of Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, which I actually watched again. So, and 8-Bit
Why?
Christmas.
You said you were never going to watch it again.
I was having adult beverages and wanted something to watch in the background. Yeah, don't get better. Our Guardians of the Galaxy spoiler cast, which I had fun with. And hopefully soon we'll be doing our Break the Seal on the Halo series with Christina.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to that for sure. Again, if any of those or any of our past episodes sound interesting to you, CB has quite a few episodes where he's made me play some games that were definitely not for me, as well as some other people from the team. So we've got the also Break the Seal episodes, Legacy episodes, and we've got more coming down the pipeline for sure. So head over to patreon.com/thegocast. But in the meantime, let's talk about some new games we've been playing. All right, Zach. List is getting pretty moderate this week. Anything that we should be checking out?
Well, I think that's up to you. I don't know how you feel about Guacamelee, but that Drinkbox comes out with their new action RPG, Nobody Saves the World, coming to Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC, January 18th. 2D brawler River City Girls gets ported up to PS5 on January 18th. Expeditions Rome is a new CRPG, which is super cool. I was unaware of the Expedition series until the PR contacted us, and I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, you'll hear from Kevin on that one in just a few minutes.
I'm excited. He seems like the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to PC January 20th. If you've ever wanted to play Pokemon Snap but with dogs, you have Paparazzi coming to Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC January 20th. The game nobody wants or cares about, Rainbow Six Extraction, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Stadia, and PC January 20th. Windjammers 2, a sequel that does feel like people are asking for, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia, and PC January 20th.
That's a Game Pass one as well, right?
Is that right? Wow. And so I assume on Xbox Series consoles as well on that, and I probably just forgot to put it on the format. Blackwind is a game you'll hear me talk about shortly, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC January 20th. RPG Golf, or RPG Ulf Legends, RPG Golf Legends, coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC January 20th. That is, as described, it is another golf RPG game, and it's funny.
Just call it Role-Playing Golf Legends.
That's too much. They didn't call it that, though. That's not up
RP
to
Golf.
us. RP Golf. It is funny that we now exist in a world where we could say it's another golfing RPG. That's just a thing that gets made now.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Gravity Chase is a very F-Zero inspired game, coming to Xbox One and PC January 21st. And then quite possibly one of the most annoying trailers I've ever seen in my life is Baby Storm, coming to Switch January 21st. Which is a game about babies. Maybe they should have renamed the game to Birth Control.
Wow.
Ooh.
What? Yeah. Anything here exciting you guys? You think
Absolutely. There's a couple.
Do you think I made Rainbow Six fans mad everywhere?
Are there any Rainbow Six fans? Are there any Extraction fans?
No.
I haven't talked to a single person that's excited for that game, and
I'm gonna laugh when that game launches, and like by the end of week 1, they're like, we're down to 50 players.
Yeah.
Well, what's especially weird about that game is that Rainbow Six Siege is still live and active, so why are you competing directly against your own game?
Mm-hmm. I think they're banking on those people.
Sci-fi elements.
Yeah.
Well, even when it was supposed to be Rainbow Six Quarantine, you'll remember, pre-pandemic, it was like a zombie thing instead of an aliens thing. It just doesn't... That just seems like a bad strategy. I know Ubisoft doesn't have a lot in the pipeline, but still. Yeah. Anyway, look forward to NFTs in that.
Windjammers 2 is a game I'm stoked for. I did not even know about this series until this summer when I played the original Windjammers up at a buddy's house. And I don't know what they're doing different with the second one. I just know I want to play it, and I want to get a group together. I hope that they do a like King of the Hill style thing in this, because it's basically either a 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 type of deal. And I want it to be where you've got a lobby, and the next quarter up comes in place, because these are very quick matches. These are even less than a fighting game, I would say. It looks like a lot of fun. I want to get a group and just trash talk and laugh and just have a good time with that. That's the one I'm choosing.
Quick question: if it wasn't on Game Pass, would you be picking it up?
Probably not.
Yeah, the power of Game Pass is unbelievable.
I mean, it's just a lack of time thing. I mean, I downloaded 2 other games on Game Pass this week that I haven't even tried yet. I wanted to play Unpacking after Grant's recommendation of it. Plus, it's supposed to be pretty easy achievement points. And the other one, The Artful Escape, another recommendation from Mr. Henry. That it's like a 4 or 5 hour game. Like I'm just eating these up, man. Like I'm going to town. So the idea of like paying extra money for games right now just seems kind of asinine.
Right.
So.
All right, CB, what are you looking forward to?
First off, Windjammers 2.
Okay.
Mostly because I played the original on my Neo Geo. So I'm looking forward to a sequel for that.
My only connection to Windjammers is that Giant Bomb used to play it all the time, like 10 years ago.
It was a great arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I will be playing RP Golf Legends.
All right,
I
you're going
probably
with RP
will
Golf.
Just because I loved the first one. The first golf like RPG that I played.
What was the
Golf
first
Story?
one you played?
Golf Story.
Oh, I thought you were going back as far as Mario Golf. Mario Golf was technically RPG golf too.
Right, yeah. No, I
Golf
played
Story
that.
was better.
Oh, Golf
Hey,
Story
Mario-
was great.
Mario Golf and Game Boy is great. I've owned Golf Story for many years and have never booted it up. So
It's such a
maybe one
good
day.
game.
I kind of want to go back to. It was on Switch, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I own it. Yeah,
I should go.
maybe
back
they did a
and-
PS5 version. I could take advantage of ray tracing.
Oh, it would look terrible on a PS5.
Yeah,
Nobody
I
wants
imagine
that.
so. Oh, you know what? I just thought of one thing that did not seem possible on PS4, and that was a Metro Exodus's ray tracing implementation.
Oh, okay.
I booted up very briefly, but the lighting was unbelievable.
I'm even less of a. I'm not. That's not true. I was gonna say I'm less of a graphics guy than you are, but that's not true. But when you go to do that, do you go for ray tracing or performance or
Metro
What's the
only gives you the one option.
it only gives you one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I will say, I think there's an inherent humor in the fact that, like, the most powerful consoles on the market, you got to pick your mode, though. It's just funny to me. Why can't it do everything? These things are so powerful.
Wait for that for the PS6.
Right.
That doesn't even roll off the tongue well at all.
I mean, I feel like I don't care about graphics, so performance just feels like the smart money.
Yeah.
But
So,
speaking of games, and
I was gonna say, Zach, you've been playing a game that I want to. Well, actually, is there anything else that you want to check out this week, Zach?
just Blackwind.
Oh, look at that! So, this game seems kind of after my own heart. It's
Yes,
got
you know
mechs
what?
and stuff.
It does. I could see you. I could see you enjoying this one, CB. It does have mechs and stuff. There you go.
That's all I
Yeah.
need. That's all I need, man.
Yeah, you're sold.
That's a box quote right there. It's got
yeah.
mechs and stuff.
That would be awesome if they put that in the trailer. Who has mechs and stuff? The Gaming Outsider. Yeah, no, I mean, it is a sci-fi game. You play as James Hawkins, which is kind of cool because he's a teenager, but like 13 or 14 kind of teenager, like an actual kid.
hmm
And he's trapped inside of this big battle mech suit from his father because they're going to the planet. I can't remember the name of the planet, but it's home of the Rachnos, so maybe it's just Rachnos. Anyway, unimportant. You're going there, but then your spaceship gets shot down, and your dad basically puts you in this battle mech suit as your escape pod, but he overrides the security and locks it, so the only thing that can get you out is your father's own voice. So this isn't like an overly protective way to try to keep you safe. And then you get shipped down. You basically escape pod down, and you got this AI lady in the mech suit helping you out. But for the most part, you're playing as a kid, and unlike a JRPG protagonist kid, he actually behaves like a child.
That's cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's endearing in several ways because for one thing, he says ridiculous like tough guy one-liners in combat. He'll be like, but like intentionally bad, he'll be like, that's the power of the Hawkins, and you're like, that's a lame thing. But yeah, I can see how a kid would say that.
Mhm.
Or like, kill me if you can. It's very goofy.
I have to play this game
and-
immediately.
But perhaps the best thing they do is when he's talking to the mech suit, he's just a teenage kid or whatever, but whenever you talk to the military or like a commanding officer that you run into, he'll try to age up his voice. So, he'll be like, yeah, we really got to get over the chasm, but then you're talking to an adult, he's like, yeah, no, I took care of the bad guys, no problem.
Oh man.
I need to play it just for this reason alone.
I think it's definitely the most charming aspect of the story. And it actually kind of like weighs a little bit into like he sees the world on a very black and white viewpoint, whereas the aliens you're fighting and the military that's also fighting them kind of have, operate in grayer areas, but he has the childlike mentality and morality. Yeah, it's kind of cool. But I mean, the plot itself is very simple and has its major plot twist you will see coming from about the second hour or so. Like it's very obvious, but it's not trying to be exceptionally thought provoking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How's the combat?
So the combat, at first, I assumed it's just going to be a twin stick shooter because it's mostly an isometric viewpoint. The camera does move around, like it'll occasionally, get like closer to the ground or more of a bird's eye kind of thing. But it's mostly that 3/4 kind of view. And so I assumed it was going to be a twin stick shooter because that's how the camera is laid out. Like your right stick aims and you press the right trigger to fire or whatever. And you can operate with that most of the time. But you also have melee combos with you have these kind of sick blade arms that pop out like energy blades, and you can fight the Rachnos for this insect alien force, and you can do some pretty sick combos on them. And it has those like, you remember Darksiders, how you can press the circle button and like rip angels in half and stuff.
Yeah, got a war style.
You can do that here as well, and that's super cool. And every enemy has their own death animation. And they're usually kind of extensive and fun to watch. And you can get upgrades that'll pop out health and stuff in a very God of War style kind of way. And yeah, I don't know. I thought combat was pretty fun, and even throughout the campaign, for the most part, there is one huge sticking point in that you can get stun locked in this game, where you'll get knocked down, and then before the animation plays out of you getting back up, it doesn't make you invincible during that, so you can just get knocked down again. So if you have the right,
keep you down,
get out of here. So you can get in situations, and there's one enemy type particularly near the end of the game that's kind of like this giant mech enemy. The way their like missiles attack you, like if they hit you the first time, you're almost certain to be dead because their rate of fire is so high that the animation of you getting up cannot play out in time for you to get up. Right. You have to hope they get distracted by trying to like walk around a difficult piece of environment or something. It's incredibly frustrating, and it's worth mentioning because it had happened, more than a handful of times. Like it is something that happens, and it's very frustrating when it does. Because even if say you do get out of it right, it's just frustrating to lose like 3/4 of your health bar to something completely out of your control.
Right.
And that sucks. But there's also light platforming in the game. Where you get jumps, the double jumps, you can kind of grab onto a railing, almost like Prince of Persia style. I guess actually kind of like Darksiders. Now that I'm thinking about this game has a lot of similarities to Darksiders. You can explore that way with the platforming. You kind of, but it has that very Darksiders or Zelda kind of thing where you have this overworld kind of area on the planet's surface, but then a significant amount of your gameplay is in these little dungeon areas, which are like military facilities and cave systems and stuff. And that's where you'll go in, you'll get a new item upgrade, and that'll unlock stuff for you to do, not only in that dungeon, but you can probably go back and do a couple of extra things as well. That kind of hub and spoke style system, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of fun in that regard.
I don't know, man. You sold me on this game. I wasn't too impressed with the trailer originally, but hearing you talk about it and reading your review, sounds like something I need to check out.
It's not the kind of game that's going to knock your socks off, and those frustrations definitely permeate throughout. And it's kind of buggy, at least on PS4. It crashed a couple times, and there were a handful of times where you go to like press the circle button to open a door, but then it just doesn't respond, and that can be pretty frustrating. And I had a bugged trophy, which is the most cardinal of sins for me, because I could have been one of the first people in the world with the platinum on this thing. Otherwise, and that's a very, very, very frustrating. It has a skill tree, but it is laughable, I would say, at best. Most of the characters that are not the lead are pretty mediocre in voice acting, but nonetheless, it's a really fun way to spend 10 or 12 hours. And there is though the twists may be obvious narratively, the way it recontextualizes like the last third or so of the game in terms of gameplay is crazy. All the enemies are refreshed. The areas you're visiting change in terms of like atmosphere, and they even change the combat music for like the last third of the game.
Oh wow!
After the twist, it's pretty cool in that way.
Well, I'm sold.
Yeah, I think you sold both of us on this one. That is Blackwind.
It's decent. I don't want to like tell you it's like some kind of stellar game. It's just It's like a fun little way. If you can look past the bugs and the frustrations, it's a fun little way to spend a weekend.
But it's got mechs and stuff. That's all I need.
It does indeed have mechs and stuff. Absolutely.
Again, that is Blackwind, and you're playing that on PS4. Let's go ahead and move on to our other review. I had Kevin stop by to talk to me about Expeditions Rome, which Zack mentioned just a second ago. So let's go ahead and hear his thoughts on that game right now. Well, hey, Kevin, long time no see. How you been?
I've been great. Yourself?
I'm doing okay, man. I am here to talk to you about a game you've been playing called Expeditions Rome on PC. This one comes from developer Logic Arts and was provided to us by Evolve PR. Really excited to talk to you about this one because I'm not an expert when it comes to RTS games at all. I mean, the fact that I don't play too much on PC doesn't help. So I'm hoping you might. I was glad that you got a hold of this one because you're probably the biggest expert in terms of our team here. So what can you tell me about Expeditions Rome?
Well, Expeditions Rome is, while it is a bit of an RTS, it's more of a turn-based game, much along the lines of like a Divinity Original Sin style.
Okay.
Or Wastelands, if you're familiar with how those play out in the turn-based category.
Sure.
There is an RTS element to it. It's actually a few different things kind of mashed together all into one, and it turns out to be such a great experience as you're going through and learning. But yeah, the actual fighting is mainly done, like I said, in a turn-based system, like an overhead camera view. I mean, almost exactly like the Divinity games and the Wasteland games and so on and so forth.
I haven't played either of those series, but I've played Civilization, and I know that's kind of turn-based. Is it like the combat in that?
The ironic thing is I have not played Civilization, so I don't know. But it's basically you have your character set up on a map, and you have a few different spots you could delegate them to start out at. Each person has a different ability. Some have very similar abilities, so you can kind of mix and match your team however you want it as you progress. And they each have a certain amount of movement spaces they can do, and certain things they can do as an action. It's almost like a D&D type situation. And then once you're ready, you hit go, and you take your turns. Your enemy takes your turns. There are different elemental things you could do, like you can grab a torch and toss it at someone, and that'll cause a burning effect. Same thing with some different aspects as well. But that's the gist of the main part of the game, the meat and potatoes, if you will.
Okay, so it's got a lot of different moving parts mechanically speaking. But how did you find like the setting? Because I feel like most RTS games, or in this case turn-based games like this with an isometric view, your strategy games, I guess is the broader term to use here. Deal with like modern war or fantasy lore, like World of Warcraft and stuff, or Warcraft, I guess is what it was originally. I don't see too many taking place in Rome. How did you like this one?
Well, this was really great, and this is part of the reason that I really was itching to get my hands on this, is because I played the other two installments before this, which one was, I'm spacing on the name, but it was based in Mexico, basically, in Spanish Mexico, and another one was a Vikings setting, and this one is in Rome. Obviously, Expeditions Rome. And one of the things I really enjoyed about the prior two games is the guys that made this take really great pride in actually getting the historical parts accurate. Cool. Even when they're speaking in game, there's a lot of voiceover, and everything is pronounced in Latin the way that it would be then, not the way we would say it here. So, like a legionnaire is called a legionare.
Cool.
Things along that line, and it's really intriguing to sit down and go through this and almost experience that time like it was then.
That's really cool. I love that attention to detail. If you're a history buff, you're definitely going to be all over this, right?
Oh yeah. And this was I was a big, the Roman gladiators and all that fun stuff. That was my jam back when I was studying history in school. So
cool. Well, I know you mentioned that you had a really good time with it, but it wasn't without its flaws. What are some of the issues that you've had with it?
There is like specifically some menu things could be a lot better. Like you have to leave a town you're in to actually get to the menu to do the upgrades that you would do and all that fun stuff, instead of just having a simple menu to go into. That could be a hassle. It gets kind of old after a bit. The biggest problem I had, and I was able to kind of see past it with as well as the rest of the game is put together, but the biggest problem was in those turn-based battles. Like I said, it's an overhead view, an isometric view. You can move the camera, you can pan the camera, but it seems to stay at a static distance, relative-wise, as far like the farthest you can zoom out. And the problem is there are different levels in these battlegrounds. So there's tops of buildings. If you're in the hills, there's hilltops and valleys and all that fun stuff. So you could zoom out as far as you can, and as you pan the screen to observe the battlefield and see what's going on, it follows that landscape. So as you're panning, the camera will go up and down, and it doesn't let you get an actual broad view of what's going on. You have to actually very meticulously sit there and pan and scoot and go up. Yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating, to be honest with you. Like I said,
Gotcha.
I was able to look past it with the way the rest of the game is built very well, but that was a pretty big deal.
At least this one's turn-based, like you said. If it were real-time strategy, that would probably get very frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe that'll be something that can be tweaked later, but it sounds like you really enjoyed the game overall. Is this something you're going to recommend for everyone to play?
Very much so. I do. I really hope they fix that camera part, but outside of that, like I said, is all the rest of the game being built as well as it was made up for that and then some. But
very cool. Again, that is Expeditions Rome. This is exclusive to PC, correct? This isn't available on any.
Correct.
Yeah, so if you're a PC person and you like these style of games and you're a history buff, check out Expeditions Rome. Sounds like you will like it. Kevin, thanks so much for stopping by, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to review this one for us.
Thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity, man.
Not a problem. We'll catch you next time at our next D&D session, right?
Yep, I'll be there.
All right, we'll catch you later.
See ya.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Really appreciate you stopping by. I think I said that already, so you're hearing that twice, everybody. I apologize. But I want to remind everybody about our social media outlets. First off, Facebook, which can be found at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. We have a new member over there by the name of Evan Estwing. Welcome to the community. Hope you're enjoying it. Also, our Discord server is still up and running. We'd love it if you checked it out. The link for that is in the show notes of this very episode. And we don't have any new members over there, but tell your friends. We'd love to have more people join in. Lots of great conversations going on over there. Also, drop us a review if you get a chance, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us get the word out to other people in the podcast universe. Also, our website, thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all of our written content, including Sean Coates' review of Far Cry 6 and Zack's written review for Blackwind, which he just got done talking about. So be sure to check that out. You also find all our episodes and future editorials as well. We've got a little bit of a commitment, at least from one of us. I can't remember. Was that you, CB, that committed to editorials this year?
Yeah, I did.
So be sure to check that out. Again, that is thegamingoutsider.com. Last thing I want to mention is our sponsor, Manscaped. You've heard us talk about it the past few weeks, and I got to tell you guys, I keep getting people contacting me and saying, I checked out these products and I love them just as much as you guys do. And I'm not making this up. We have people in our Facebook group that are saying they bought them for their significant others or for themselves, and they are absolutely loving the product. So we're not full of crap after all. What do you know?
Right, yeah, my sister's husband's a big fan. I can say firsthand.
Yeah, and he's got. Are you talking about the? I think I know you're talking about. He's got a big beard as well, too, right?
Vinny?
Yeah, big old Vinny. Yeah, shout out to Vinny.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he's listening to a guy with nothing but the wrong takes on movies. Vinny.
Wow.
Do we just when we were visiting over Christmas? That guy and I don't think share a single movie opinion.
Anyway, CB, which of these products stand out to you as the most useful?
I still absolutely in love with the shampoo and conditioner, man.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds weird, especially for a guy that has so little hair.
Some would say none.
Well, I mean,
beard,
on top of the head.
Right.
Down here on the face, I have plenty.
Thank God you specified on the face.
Yes. Well, it's Manscaped.
Right.
So.
No, you're right, though. The shampoo and conditioner is great. Sometimes I catch a whiff and I think, man, I am sexier than I thought I was.
Yeah, it lingers a good while on you, too. And I definitely love the scent quite a bit. So, and not for nothing, I still use the lip balm regularly. It is the cold season up here, so I'm constantly needing to put some chapstick on, and that stuff works great, and it tastes good on my lips. I can
confirm it tastes good on his lips.
Yes. Yeah, it's we didn't have enough sticks to go around, so I had to share with him.
Yeah, and not to knock it, also that deodorizer.
Yeah,
is stellar.
Yeah, I still like
I'm glad you dig it, and the boxes. Anyway,
I like giving myself a little spritz down there.
Do you?
Yeah, it's fun.
Does feel kind of nice. But if you'd like to try out these products, head over to manscaped.com and use the promo code THEGOCAST, THEGOCAST, and that'll get you 20% off your order, as well as free international shipping. Trust us, give it a shot. You will not be disappointed. Manscaped, your balls will thank you. All right, it is time to address the elephant in the room that has been all over social media the past few weeks. Yes, we're going to talk about NFTs and their possible future with the game industry. If you haven't heard about it, or if you have heard about it but never quite understood it, like me, that's me, I'm raising my hand. Zack, is going to try his best to explain what it means for someone dumb like me to understand, and how it could relate to the video game industry. We asked all of you for some of your thoughts on the matter as well, so we'll have some feedback from you. And before I have Zach jump into it, I got to tell you guys, not one single person on Facebook, Twitter, Discord, anything, spoke up in support of NFTs in video games. Everybody seems, generally speaking, at least in our community, seems very much against it, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So, Zach, I feel so ignorant on this topic, and I have for a while. I did some Google searches, and I just feel like every place I run into just has people arguing instead of giving the facts. Can you explain to CB and I, as well as the rest of the community, what exactly NFTs are and how they affect gaming?
You can hate, or you can create. Troy Baker,
man.
2021. Yeah, that's what kind of sparked all this off, was Troy Baker's tweet, right?
Yeah, that's why I decided to go with this topic. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys are not aware, definitely look up Troy Baker's opinion on NFTs, where he takes a shot at you if you do not believe in them pretty directly.
Now, did you go back and listen to the podcast? I can't remember the name of the podcast that he's on with the viewers.
No, because somewhat ironically, I stopped listening to it a few months ago because I couldn't really take Troy Baker's ego anymore.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of funny that his ego got in the way publicly as well. He's a very big fan of himself, that man. He's really proud of what he's accomplished, I guess.
I would be curious to go back. I might go back and listen to this episode because he apparently, I'm not sure if he backpedaled, but he kind of explained and or apologized, or I don't know.
I read all the quotes as reported, by various websites, and I would say it's the sort of half apology you might expect to see from someone whose public face has been damaged but isn't actually sorry about the thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Anyway, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which is a fun thing to say out loud, are one-of-a-kind-ish digital items.
What does fungible mean?
Fungible means that it can be changed.
Oh, okay.
Is what I learned when I had to Google what the word fungible meant earlier today.
Okay, I don't feel so bad if you had to Google it as well.
It's not a normal word, but it is fun to say non-fungible.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can give NFTs. They are somewhat one of a kind because they can be. It's like almost like trading cards, right? If there are 900 Squire Maidens, and your Squire Maiden is that specific one that's been printed, but there are still 899 more Squire Maidens out there.
Right.
If that and
so rare, but not the only one.
Yeah, it's not, and it's a perceived value based on the community's speculation of the value of Squire Maidens.
So it's a stock market in digital form
for nerds and rich,
crappy stock market,
rich micro communities. And they can truly be a one-off NFT, such as a porn NFT that I learned about that sold for like $28,000. There really was only one. So NFTs are digital items as stored on the Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum is a cryptocurrency miner. Is that what they're called? CB, is that right? Miners or manufacturers?
Yeah. Well, if you are creating it, you are a miner.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like you know more about crypto than me.
I know enough about crypto to get me in trouble. I do dabble, but I'm not an expert.
You do seem like you would dabble. And they can be just about anything. They could be a music file, a JPEG,
tweet, Literally anything digital.
Right. Yeah. Jack, founder of Twitter, sold the NFT to his first tweet for a few $1 million the other day. I think it was 3.8 million.
Can I ask a stupid question because this just doesn't make any sense to me?
Yeah.
How do you make something not fungible? I mean, because screen grabs and
Okay, so this is where the Ethereum blockchain comes in.
Correct.
Okay.
Do you know what a blockchain is?
I have no idea.
The blockchain is responsible for storing the data of who owns what.
Yes. So essentially, a blockchain is
a giant spreadsheet.
Well, not just a giant spreadsheet, but a giant mathematical equation.
Mm-hmm.
A very nerdy spreadsheet.
Yes, but to move from like one block to the next, there's an equation, and it's open sourced, so everyone has access to the blockchain. It's basically so everybody can keep everyone else on the up and up.
So it's not an Excel spreadsheet; it's a Google sheet.
Kind of.
I'm trying to dumb it down in a way that makes sense in my head.
Well, we're about to get into some stuff that's like makes all this seem really stupid.
Okay. Yeah, that's the bottom line of NFTs is it's even stupider than I thought.
Oh, it gets worse.
Because so cryptocurrency, if I may just interject, cryptocurrency I think is stupid because it's falsifying scarcity. It's a currency that I understand it has an endpoint, right? Is my understanding, CB. But it is something that people just made up and agreed upon a value for, which I guess is technically true of gold or something, right?
Yes.
But it is ones and zeros somebody made up. However, what I'm saying is I can understand the perceived value of a Bitcoin. Let's go with Bitcoin because Dogecoin just sounds dumb. I can understand why a community would find that to be valuable, and I also know that Bitcoin has an end date, right, where you can no longer mine it. I thought it did.
It gets hard. It gets harder as it goes on.
Okay, but I can guess. I can wrap my head around it. I don't agree with that. Whatever. NFTs, I literally cannot understand why anybody would buy in on this.
Okay, well, hang on. First, I want to back up for a second.
Okay.
Because going back to where Scott was saying,
blockchain.
Well, so the blockchain basically, so you screen grab this thing and you attach, like a proof of ownership to it. So that individual item will be assigned a numerical value inside of the blockchain with the mathematical equation.
Okay. What determines that value? How much you paid for it?
The equation. The value has nothing to do with that.
Okay. Right, the value is what somebody pays for it.
The value is what somebody pays for it. But the numerical, like, it's not just like ones and zeros. It's also like alphanumerics.
Right.
So it's a gigantic algorithm. And say I bought an NFT. So I am awarded a secret alphanumeric code that shows that I have ownership of that. So I'm the only one who theoretically owns that code. That's why
it's a digital certificate of authenticity.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So
that's a better way to put
it. You could think if you have the digital certificate, right? It's like you own Monet's Water Lilies, the original art print, and everybody else can print off a version of it off the internet, but they'll never have Monet's Water Lilies like you do.
Right.
Yes, it'll be, I'm the original owner, and I believe there's like lawsuits going on that if someone buys a digital copy of something, that they can actually have all other copies of it scrubbed from the internet.
Yes, because as we know, scrubbing things from the internet is super easy.
That's the part I can't wrap my head around. Because what's to stop? So this blockchain thing keeps someone from just taking a screen grab of something?
Well, let's say I own the original rights to this NFT.
Uh-huh.
But you produce a piece of work with my NFT in the background that makes you money. I can sue you for that.
Allegedly. Because it's all speculative still.
Yes. Because it's just like cryptocurrency. There's not a lot of regulation and law around it yet.
Right. That was going to be my next question, is at what point does the SEC get involved?
Well, that's where this gets really difficult. Because it's all decentralized.
What do you mean by that?
So, well, this is I'll come back to this because this is where Ubisoft is kind of messing up. Decentralized means it's not specifically in one marketplace. So say like you have all your money at like this one location, you can take it and move it to another location.
So you're
but
diversifying.
Yes, but I can literally take. So this is where it gets like really hard to explain, and this is like I know what the decentralized part of it means in my head, but it's very hard for me to explain it. But basically, you can like use it anywhere. It's not tied. Like money was tied to the gold standard. Cryptocurrency, none of that is tied to like any standard at all.
It's just all completely made up out of thin air.
Yep, that's basically what it is. And that's why the prices fly up and down wildly. I mean, the fact that anybody can go out and make a cryptocurrency, it just costs money.
So if I make an NFT, again, forgive me for my ignorance, I'm truly trying to understand this. If I decide I'm going to make this piece of digital art or a tweet or whatever.
Episode 381 of the Gaming Outsiders, an NFT. Sure.
If I'm going to do that, what do? I just put it on this blockchain and then they assign me a code. Like, do I submit it?
There is a long, arduous process where you have to use one of the trading network sites like Object, or there's the other one that Ubisoft is using, but there's different.
Can you go directly to Ethereum and ask them to put it on the blockchain?
I don't really know because I haven't made an NFT.
Yeah, I'm sure if you're Jack, you can. From Twitter.
Yeah, like that's where like some of this gets so like it's so confusing to like the majority of us.
Well, my worry is just like because my mind immediately rejects this. I worry that I'm rejecting it because I'm old, and it's just I'm also an investor on the personal finance side. And I understand how that works. And when you throw something at me that feels foreign and not comfortable, I just reject it. I don't want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to understand it at a base level because it sounds like this could be the future. And
I'm sure Ethereum would love that.
Right.
It theoretically could be the future, but at the same time, like even the people that are buying NFTs are saying like, yeah, it's not. It's more or less like we're buying digital art. Congrats.
I mean, if you know anything about the art dealer scene, there's a whole lot of jacked up stuff going on in there too.
That's essentially what a lot of this is too.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? Like I read a story the other day that Eminem bought like a bunch of NFTs and spent like millions for like 28 images.
Yeah, that's generally what I found in my research is that like everybody who owns NFTs is rich. And it's like and not to say I'm sorry, not everybody, right? But the people who are playing in the pool at the deep end are all it's like these wealthy micro communities.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I have such a problem with NFTs at the same time. Like I'm gonna go out and buy this NFT of like the one that a lot of people quote all the time is this Bored Ape. Somebody makes these and it's a Bored Ape.
Yeah.
But they spend like, I spent $1 million buying this. Okay, I need $1 million. I need to sell this. Who's gonna buy it?
Nobody.
I mean that's the stock market. That's how that's how the stock market works.
But it feels like none of these have resale value at all.
So it's just a bragging rights type of thing?
No, it feels more like a money laundering scheme.
Yeah, it's like WADA.
Don't even get me started, man. We already talked about that.
So going back to like if I'm going to make an NFT, do I have a choice to make just one of these, or can I make, like Zach was alluding to earlier, 900 copies of this NFT to make it as rare?
You could do whichever one you want because, like you said, it's kind of like trading cards. Like that there's like a few thousand Michael Jordan rookie cards out there. They're all rare, but how many of them are signed?
Right.
So I think that it's all perceived value.
Well, yeah. I mean, I keep saying this and I apologize, but I mean that's really what what stocks and bonds and all that too are. It's not a physical thing that you're.
But stocks and bonds all have speculation based upon a company and what they're worth.
Right. So there's actually something.
These have zero backing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I still think the stock market's dumb.
And I think that's kind of where like the decentralized comes from, is where stocks and bonds and physical forms of money and things like have a backing. Like they're guaranteed by the FDIC. These have nothing. And like that's where like I almost kind of want to dive into like what Ubisoft did and why they screwed up.
Okay, go for it.
So Ubisoft is attempting to do their whole thing with digits, is what they're calling their NFTs. And they can be sold on 2 different sites. However, so Ubisoft has currently 3 different ones that they're doing. It's a pair of pants, a gun skin, and a helmet skin that exist inside Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
All right.
And they made 2,000 of each. So the idea of everything being decentralized is I can take it anywhere. So that's
instead of it being just in this one game, I could put it on
any Ubisoft
Ezio.
Game. Or but not only that, if it's truly decentralized, I could take that skin and put it in any other game.
Oh.
But it's Ubisoft has these NFTs that they've put inside their game. And
but doesn't the other game
only exist there?
Wouldn't the other game company have to be open to allowing whatever to be on their game as well?
That's kind of where they're kind of hoping in the future that it's going to go to. But these are all inside this one game. So there's 2,000 copies of each. So what happens when they shut the servers down? Because you can't remove these like other NFTs. Like it's a digital file. You can save it on your computer. You can take it wherever you want.
But you can't
these are
play
stuck
with it.
inside this game.
Right.
Like when they eventually shut the servers down, they're gone. Done.
So it's gonna be a mad fire sale as the game comes to the end of its life cycle, right?
Yeah.
Or like you said, it's there's just the possibility for people to be financially ruined based on pure ignorance.
Yeah. Well, luckily, most of these that they've been selling on the secondary market haven't sold for anything.
Okay.
I think between the 2 markets, they've had a total of less than 25 sales.
Well, and Ubisoft, they gave them away for free.
They do, but the people that do receive them, they can sell them to other people.
Of course, I'm just saying, from the Ubisoft angle, at least they didn't try to charge up front for the 6,000 NFTs.
Well, who determined what determined who got them? Is it like a...
So, Ubisoft had stipulations.
Mm-hmm. So
to receive the pair of pants, you had to have 100 hours in play time of Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Okay.
Those poor souls.
The second one was 300, which was the gun skin.
Mm-hmm.
The helmet was 600 hours.
And from my investigating, the gun skin is the one that has any kind of value, because I think one sold for like $60 or something, which is...
Yeah, that was the highest one.
Right. I think it was $58 if I'm remembering exactly. And that's the closest that they've gotten to value there. And that's also just silly because like, why? It's just really, why would you buy a gun skin for $58? Is what you did.
Remember when we paid like $20 for horse armor and everyone laughed?
I think it was $10, but yes.
Was it $10?
I think it was 800 Microsoft points, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be incorrect. But the way it's set up for video games, because CB talks about how it's supposed to be decentralized, right? And that is a lot of what the speculators out there, the Ethereum specs out there, are saying, is that you could take this gun skin into Minecraft, or you could take it into whatever, and how cool would that be? But every single game developer on Twitter and social media is screaming that is absolutely never going to happen, and that is a complete lie. Mm-hmm. And that you should never ever expect, because not only you can't even get these companies always agree on crossplay. You think you're gonna get them to agree on weapon skins, because now if you wanted Fortnite has to make it not only a gun, but it has to be an M4A1 gun, and it has to be somehow in a Ghost Recon art style if it's truly replicating what you paid for. So it's just impossible what these speculators are suggesting.
Yeah, because crossplay, even though it's not a simple thing, is much simpler than this because it's just allowing the players to play with each other. This is you have to make this one thing available to talk from this game to that game, and now this game to that game, and this game to that. And
not only that, but you're doing it for only 2,000 people. So why would you spend the development resources on making that weapon?
Well, and
does it make the developer any money to do that? Do they get a cut of that NFT sale? So what's the incentive at all for them to do it?
Don't worry, Ethereum always gets a cut though.
Well, I'm willing to bet the theory is that if later on down the road, say there's all of a sudden every single developer and company decides to adopt this as a thing, and you want to import your NFT from this other game into our game, you have to pay a small fee for this to happen. And if there's millions and millions of NFTs out there, and as you move from one game to another, it creates more like cash flow for these people. My biggest problem with this is, so as a developer, let's say all of a sudden there's like 1 million different NFTs on the market from all these different companies, but you have to code each one of them into your game.
Right.
So it would be nothing but nonstop patches as new NFTs emerge on the market.
And I can only imagine the hellscape we would be existing within.
And this is all that would be taking away from actual quality game content, which is what scares me.
Yeah, well, I don't see this being viable in any way, shape, or form in this market.
No, and the way it's set up now is much like Diablo 3's auction house, right? Where you could spend real money on this digital goods and Activision would get a cut. But it was an idea so terrible that even Bobby Kotick and Activision was like, we gotta get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Activision thought this idea was too dumb.
Well, I mean, Blizzard even stomped on it when people were farming up things in World of Warcraft and selling it like for real money in the world.
Yeah, it's terrible all around.
Here's the thing. I wonder if this is a generational thing too, because again, I'm the old fart in the room here.
Well, I'm younger.
Huh?
I'm younger than you.
No, but I'm talking about even younger than you. I'm talking about the Fortnite generation that is more obsessed with skins and unlockable dances and things that they can.
All the kids wanted at the Christmas Parkinson's was digital currency for the games they were into.
Right. And it's not even like anything that adds any playable value to those games. It's just to show off about what you've got. So my thought process is that the next generation coming up are going to be the ones that this is for, that this is going to be marketed towards, because that's what they care about.
I feel like we should protect them.
The relics of gaming past. My grandfather got this NFT in Ghost Recon.
Back when my grandpa played games, he just paid $60 and got the whole thing.
Right.
It's madness, idiots.
And I'm so worried about sounding like that old fart thing, but I don't hear any of my students talking about a game they're playing and saying, man, this has a really cool story. Or, man, they did something, there was this awesome moment in this game where this happened. It's all about, I got this thing. I got this thing.
But also the average age of a gamer.
What grade are you teaching?
4th grade, 10-year-olds, right? Yeah, and the average age of a gamer is 35. So they're not.
So something's thrown off the market, or the average rather.
Yeah, so they're not the target demographic of most game publishers. It probably is for Fortnite or whatever. But
the biggest game in the world, or one of the biggest games in the world.
Absolutely. But by the time those kids get 35, I would hope that they're intelligent enough to know that this is absolutely stupid.
Really? You're hopeful. You just got done talking about how hopeful, people are awful.
They are. People are awful and they're selfish and they're terrible, but you would have to choose to be an idiot to buy into this stuff.
I don't know how to break this to you, man.
This is the level of idiocy akin to believing the earth is flat to me.
Well, do you know how many people in the world believe the world is flat?
Yeah, and they're all choosing idiocy. Nobody really thinks the earth is flat. You just want to be a weirdo.
The number something like 40% in the US.
These people want to be rebels. There's no way you really think the earth is flat. There's no way. You just say it because you want to be You want to rile people up. But I refuse to believe anybody was raised in this world and was like, clearly it's flat.
We will talk about this off air because we will dive down rabbit holes where it's just like, I don't want to offend people.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have thoughts on that whole matter that don't want to have
There's nothing
recorded.
offensive. If you think the earth is flat,
no,
I don't want to interact
but other
with you.
Ideas and thought processes.
I think I know where you're going with that, CB, and I do not want that being on the record. So we will.
I don't think you know where I'm going with it.
Is it lizard people? You think because of lizard people?
No. We'll talk about that off air. But here's my next question in regards to NFTs, because the thing that's confusing to me, and what made me more confused when Troy Baker came out and made this statement, is it sounds like he is championing artists. Like, this is a good thing for artists, and I don't understand how this is a good thing for artists.
If I may try to interject with a little bit of the research I did. And the idea is that, so the original artists of, say, an MP3 or whatever, they're supposed to get a cut of every sale after that.
Mm-hmm.
This has been carried out very little according to the artists of original NFTs. Because there's no regulation, and it's decentralized.
Shouldn't that be tracked on this blockchain that CB was talking about?
Yeah, the sale is, but it's up to the person selling it to hand that percentage over. Because there's no regulation.
I feel like all that should be managed by this company. You said Ethereum.
But why would the company want to take on that liability if they're in a marketplace where they don't have to?
Yeah. Right now, crypto and NFT is essentially a lawless wasteland.
Right, it's just dudes and gals in their basement.
Right.
Just laughing, I presume, at everybody and just making insane amounts of money.
Right. And that's going to stop. Somebody's going to step in.
I hope so.
No, it's not.
Oh, you mean regulation? I don't think so. They can't even regulate loot boxes yet. The government is pretty slow to act, man. They don't understand how.
When you sit here and look at different cryptos out there, you have Bitcoin that is over $40,000 for one Bitcoin.
Right, and Bitcoin, if you know the history of Bitcoin, right, it used to be the currency of the dark web where people were swapping, underage content and stuff, and none of the Bitcoin manufacturers are any kind of trouble or regulation after that, and it was just like the official currency of crime for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's no regulation, man.
And then it got pushed into the limelight. And
it's everywhere, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the fact that I can go to a gas station down the street and exchange money for Bitcoin at like an ATM style machine. It exists.
It's unbelievable.
But I mean, you have Bitcoin that's like over 40,000 for one coin, and then you have like Dogecoin, which is 16 cents. There is zero regulation.
Yeah,
none.
So if I buy a piece of NFT art, it is my responsibility to no. If I'm selling a piece of NFT art, it is my responsibility when I get that money from the buyer to give a portion of it to the original artist.
Yes.
Why would anybody why would anybody do that?
I don't. Yeah. Why would not anybody just right click and save?
Right.
Like, it's all stupid. Now I do. So it's not
the official version, right?
The only credit I'll give to Troy Baker is like, if you really care about an artist, you really care about Troy Baker, and you really want a different way to give him money. I guess this is a way for you to have what you feel to be a personal piece of Troy Bakerism and still give him money. I guess if you don't plan on selling it.
That's trusting a lot of people to do the quote unquote right thing.
Sure, but I'm saying as opposed to Patreon, right? This is just another way to give an artist income. I would guess is where Troy Baker is coming at it from.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I'm all about supporting artists, but I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen the tweet that's gone around where, back in the days of CDs, an artist got 50% of the CD, and then different forms of streaming service came around. It's every time that their song played, they got 10 cents. And now it's something to get 1 penny from Spotify for an artist, your song has to be played 150 times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I understand that paying an artist is important, but I feel that there's so many other things that need to happen in the world for artists to get recognized for payment first.
Sure.
rather than create fake art on the internet with Microsoft Paint.
Look, I don't want to give Troy Baker a lot of credit. I'm just saying, I that's the only angle I could see where he's trying to come from. He loses it when he says you can hate or you can create, but that's to try to give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess.
I don't know. I feel like that will only work for artists that already have a huge following.
I concur.
Right? Like if you were an up and coming artist, whether it be musician, oil artist or digital graphic designer or something like that, and you have mom and dad buying your stuff, at the beginning, I feel like that's going to make it that much more difficult for up and coming artists to make it any kind of dent. Possibly. Or name for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, yes, guys, top to bottom stupid.
Okay.
The concern is getting into video games, but honestly, I feel like they're to what CB was talking about earlier, right? Where you can't decentralize the gun coding, so all you're really doing is making the microtransactions limited in number.
Mm-hmm. So it's just making these things it's just making them more rare
artificially.
Yeah,
because all digital scarcity is artificial.
The concept behind it is a brilliant idea, because let's say you do make a piece of the digital art and put it out there. Like you were saying, Zach, what's preventing me from right-clicking, saving, and then printing it off on my own time and hanging it on a wall, because so many more people are making digital art.
Right.
I mean, people are doing that now. Media. I have a poster copy of Starry Night that I hung on my wall for a long time.
I guarantee you Vincent Van Gogh's family didn't get a penny from that.
Yeah, you dirty thief.
I mean, he's got to have an estate or something, right?
That's not necessarily that they got a copy of it.
You mean they didn't get a cut of it?
Yeah, they probably didn't get a cut of it.
So Starry Night isn't licensed?
Well, no, somebody probably buys a licensing fee for like, I want to make 15,000 copies of this. I'll give you $1,000.
Right.
But then I'm going to take my 15,000 and sell them for a ludicrous amount.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's why you charge a licensing fee. That's them getting their cut.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is once something gets put onto the internet, what's to stop me from copy and paste, blow it up, take it to Kinko's and print it out myself.
Right. Now you doing it and printing it yourself is one thing. Printing it and distributing it and selling them is something completely different.
Right.
But what's to stop somebody from doing it? I could make a fake company name.
Sure.
I mean, we had it done to us. Somebody remember when we first started selling T-shirts on whatever, and somebody like in China was had put our logo on T-shirts and we're selling them to make money because we didn't have it copyrighted.
What an honor!
Yeah,
yeah. I felt more honored than than upset, but I also wasn't the artist that made it, so that was all Nate.
Honestly, if companies like Ubisoft though want me to get interested into the NFTs in their game, don't make them for real money. Make it a way for me to earn money playing your games to acquire them.
Well, and you need some kind of promise, right? That'll be like, well, in every Ghost Recon going forward, you will have this weapon skin.
Yeah. Like, and I guess like it wouldn't care to me if I had to move it outside of Ubisoft's network of games, but if I could transfer to all their games going forward, I'd be more interested in that. But I don't want to spend real money on it. Make it so like if I played 50 hours of your game, you gave me 1,000 credits to use towards purchasing this thing in your storefront.
Right. What's the financial benefit to them?
I'm playing your game.
They don't. You already bought their game. They don't care.
When they record hours played, and they start bragging these numbers, we had this many billions of hours logged on playing this game.
Or let's say I spend hundreds of hours acquiring all these NFTs. It's going to make me want to stay in your universe of games going forward.
As opposed to somebody else's universe?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not tied to it. I could just be like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go play God of War forever now. Or something else. If I'm going to spend hours doing this, like I want to keep it in your house.
I just hate feeling like back in my day, like But I do.
I mean,
like,
stop, man.
Like where games were just a thing that you experienced just to play the game, enjoy the mechanics, and get told a story and be engaged in that story. Roll credits and done. Move on to the next one.
Right. I think no matter the invasion and NFTs, it'll probably just push us further away from multiplayer games. But the people who are into that are going to be into that. But you can't add an NFT to God of War. You know, like what the hell would be the point of that?
Mm-hmm.
If you're buying an NFT for a single player game, I don't even know how to explain how stupid that is.
Because nobody sees
pink
it.
axe.
Right. It's just you. But I guess it's kind of like if you own the original, you know, Jack's tweet, nobody knows but you anyway. So,
right.
Yeah, I guess it is.
It's just a status thing. Like I have this and you don't.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, like a punch down kind of scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like check out how much more money I have than you.
Which to me isn't
FOMO
a positive
at its
thing.
greatest.
Right.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah.
It's just not a positive thing. So I don't know. I'm just
speaking of not positive. Let's talk about the energy costs real quick. Before we move on to listener comments. We're really rambling.
This is what I was hoping we were going to get into.
Because, and I checked a few Forbes, Verge, a few different sites on this, and the consensus I could come to is that the average NFC transaction uses the same amount of electricity as powering a refrigerator for 1 month. That's just buying one. The creation of the NFT token on the blockchain from like the artist or what have you uses about 10 times that amount just to create a token, let alone 500 of them.
I don't understand. Why does it take so much energy?
Because you have computers.
You have these basements full of computers processing the information.
Okay, so it's just, to me, that makes it sound like there's a limited number of NFTs out there for how big the server space is. So it's like an average number. So if you have more NFTs, that number would go down.
No,
am I understanding that correctly?
No, it would go
more
up.
NFTs, the energy consumption goes up to make it.
Right.
Because, okay, remember that long algorithm that I was talking about for the blockchain? Have you ever seen how, like, to acquire, like,
I also wish I could have gotten my
Bitcoin.
last bullet point out before we had...
Oh, no, go ahead. Do yours, and then I will go into this.
Just before we go on the tangent here, where Scott has questions about how electricity works. So, one French artist who chose to remain anonymous in the article I was writing said he quit NFTs after selling his digital gallery collection because it sold out within 10 minutes. And when he asked Ethereum how much electricity they use, it was the equivalent of the average American household over a period of 21 years.
Just for a 10-minute transaction.
For one guy's gallery.
Well, because he sold lots of NFTs.
Absolutely.
And all of them within 10 minutes.
So 10 minutes used 21 years of electricity.
So okay, going back to the blockchain.
I just wanted to get through the bullet points before we rambled.
No, I get that. So to power this blockchain and this mathematical equation, it takes a huge amount of processing power.
Mm-hmm.
Like massive. So when we talked about like the miners earlier, you can get into Bitcoin, like you can get into crypto mining. To do this, there are companies out there that will sell you shipping containers that are filled wall to wall, like ceiling to floor, with computers in them that literally just sit there and crunch numbers to add to this blockchain. And the blockchains have gotten so large that the amount of computers to get the next link in the chain completed, it's taking that much computing power to do this.
Now to your point about why it takes so much, you could take something like, so Square Enix, right? Final Fantasy XIV got so popular during the pandemic that they stopped selling the game because they were worried about how much electricity and damage it was doing to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only just now going back up because they see the pace of interest slowing down. Now, to Ethereum, they could try to work on their algorithm or reduce this electricity costs, or also just maybe do the right thing like Square Enix did, where they're just like, you know what, we have to stop NFTs until we figure it out. They're not interested in doing any of that. They don't care about the environmental impact. When like Forbes got a hold of, you know, an Ethereum person, and you're like, why don't you do anything about this? And the response is just, why would we?
I assume that's not verbatim, but that's
right. But like the amount of money these people are making so quickly off of all these really dumb, really rich people, they don't care. They're too selfishly raking in this money that they can't be bothered to like stop, pause, and try to look at the damage they're causing.
Yeah. So
I assume American company.
No,
it's not.
Some of the largest like miners and NFT groups are like in China and India and stuff.
No. I'm talking about
the selfishness,
the blockchain. What's the name of this company? Ethereum.
Ethereum, yeah.
Where are they based out of?
I don't.
They're
think we
decentralized.
Know.
We don't know.
It's just it could be 16 different people in 16 different countries and 16 different basements.
But,
oh my god, it's anonymous.
Anonymous. Going back to that,
you know what? They
French
seem
artist,
like good guys. Anonymous.
They kind of are.
Yeah, good.
No,
guys.
I mean this could be a whole like scheme to like.
You know what? How about we don't assume it's anonymous because I don't want them to come after us.
Oh, that's a good point.
So anonymous heroes of the internet. If you're listening, Scott spoke out of turn, and we do apologize.
No. I don't mean this I mean this in a like reset the board kind of way.
They want
like,
to take out the world.
Like you just unplug and set everybody back to zero. You get everybody into it. You know, Fight Club.
I also didn't even think about the fact that like all this money that people are investing in this, like they could just unplug the computers and it all goes away.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And there's nothing they could do about it. There's nobody that could do anything if they did.
Right, you're absolutely correct.
I mean, they could sue, I assume, but
oh my god, Tyler Durden, man, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. It could totally be.
Well, if you think that's like the French guy, like say he sold the 300 pictures and that's what caused all that electricity use. Just imagine how much electricity like Call of Duty is using.
Right.
You mean outside of
billion,
NFTs?
like their billion hours of gaming?
Right,
that means like consoles have been on for over 1 billion hours.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I never really considered in terms of environmental impact that gaming has in general.
It's got to be astronomical because that's one game over 1 billion hours. So you're powering the console, the internet, the house that it's in, the TV.
There used to be an argument against the argument that digital games are better for the environment. It's like, well, it's actually just as bad, just in a different aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that clears things up a little bit in my mind, and I still feel like I'm.
Well, the more you read, the more confused you get.
That's what I was learning is like I already couldn't wrap my head around why anybody would be into this, and then after investigating it, I literally have no idea why anybody at all would ever be into this.
I mean, it's that weird subset of the United States that is representing us to the rest of the world. You know what I mean? Like there's a vocal minority of people that are into this kind of thing. And we are I don't know. It's just
I still think it's FOMO.
That's a thing for sure.
You have this massive community of people like, yeah, man, you like crypto? You want to get into crypto? We got NFTs now. You want to get into NFTs? Buy these.
I mean, and you see that everywhere, right? Even the new Scream movie is advertising itself. I'm like, well, don't share the spoilers, man. You got to see it before somebody spoils it. Like the FOMO marketing is real and everywhere.
Even going back to a more rudimentary level, look at like eBay. When people would sell like a piece of toast that had Abraham Lincoln's head burnt into it as a mistake, or a Cheeto in the shape of
Cheeto in the shape of Jesus.
Yeah, and those things go for tens and thousands of dollars because there's never going to be another one like it. So really, this NFT thing has been a thing for a long time, just not in a digital format.
So you're saying people have always had more money than sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the NFT thing has existed for years and years and years. Like, an artist makes only 500 prints of something physically.
But at least you own that, though, you know?
At least you have something physical to hold in your hands.
Right. Nobody could right-click and save the vinyl you have.
True.
They could steal it, but it's pretty reckless.
But it's because I own that piece of the blockchain. It's mine.
I guess that is
maddening.
One way to look at it.
So I think we've pretty much summed up how we all feel about NFTs, especially as it relates to video games. I mean, I can pretty much tell you that I'm not a multiplayer guy anyway. And when I do play multiplayer games, I'm all about playing it with my friend. I don't care what I'm wearing, what I look like. I mean, if I have an option, I may throw in something on that's cool, but I'm not like, that's not my primary focus. I'm there for the experience with my friends, or I'm more specifically, I'm in it for a single player experience where I'm experiencing a story and enjoying some awesome mechanics. I don't care. Like, do you ever play a game where like you get to build your character and you have to go through like this, create your character and what kind of head and body and I try to get through it as quickly as possible. I'd randomly generate something until I don't look like a space alien.
It's funny when you think about that because technically you created an NFT.
Right, your character is an NFT, bro.
Sure.
I mean, it's not because you didn't put it on the blockchain. I
mean, it's just a weird combination. You know what I mean? Like, there's a finite number of combinations you could do in that. I mean, it's a huge astronomical, but it's still finite.
Sure.
Well, I mean, technically making a piece of 4x4 art is the same. It's just ones and zeros.
I'm looking forward to my symbiote suit NFT in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah?
Where only 1,200 people can have the symbiote suit.
I don't know.
That'll probably be a thing.
And the funny thing is, I feel like some people are going to come at us, especially CB, somewhat especially me, for being, collectors. We try to collect things.
Those are goods.
No, I understand.
Physical goods.
And the scarcity is not artificial.
Right.
There's only 1,200 JPEGs, but you can always make 10,000 more. Like you can't just make 10,000 more copies of Little Samson.
Right. Or like remember when they pulled Super Mario 3D All-Stars from the Switch? Because they ran out of digital codes? Or
artificial digital scarcity, man.
Yeah.
That's the world they want. That's the world the big money wants. Because then they have more power over you.
I will admit, I have 2 NFTs.
This hypocrite.
But because they were from a game that I played.
Which was?
When I was looking into this, there's a game called Blockdos, which is just like this little game where they're like, oh yeah, as you play, you will acquire NFTs.
Oh, so you didn't pay for it, you earned it.
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
I wouldn't pay for them.
Okay.
But I think that's how NFTs should be in games. Play to earn.
Yeah. If you're going to do it that way. I mean,
so
at the same token, do we need to give people more reasons to play for hundreds of hours?
And do we need
games?
Do we need to nickel and dime gamers anymore?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to get the money out of us somehow.
No,
the price of games hasn't
you gotta
gone
stop.
up.
You gotta stop saying that. I hate that argument so much, man. Because the cost is self-fulfilling. We don't need games to look as good as God of War. They just say that we do, so that way you feel bad, and then you pay into microtransactions. They do not. Games cost you not need to be what they are. Simply put.
Yeah, but the difference is when we started games like back in like the Nintendo, Super Nintendo era, games were all still $50, regardless if they were high quality graphics and had that Nintendo seal of quality on it, or if they were shovelware, not shovelware, but like a licensed property game that was a garbage game. It still was $50.
And how many people were hardcore gamers back then compared to now?
Right.
So I'm just saying that, sure, the games cost $50 back then, and they cost $50 only a few years ago, but you also have hundreds of millions more customers than you used to.
That's true. I mean, I'm not a businessman. I don't know.
They want the bastards. They're all bastards.
Well, let's see what our community thought about this. Starting over on Facebook. Matthew Mashand, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. NFTs have zero place in gaming. That is a hill I will die on. Short and to the point.
That's
I think
true. And entirely accurate.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Zach?
Sean Coates, can't we just, play video games? Can we try that? It's not so out of the box, right? And just when I thought we got over the loot box craze, something like this comes along, expecting us gamers to hold its beer. I assume hold my beer, see how stupid I am.
It feels like there's always a group of people out there that want to take something that people love and just ruin it. Like things they have to be ruined to some way.
Right.
And you know what?
Capitalism.
I'm going to say this right now. If you want to go out there and you want to buy all the NFTs in the world, Go ahead, man. You do you. I'm not going to do it.
I'm just saying, with game costs, It Takes Two won Game of the Year. Mm-hmm. It didn't look like God of War.
Nope.
So I'm out there saying these game costs artificial. Anyway.
Speaking
of my
Vinny Schwartz.
Oh, this guy.
Absolute garbage.
Yeah.
That couldn't be gone soon enough. I don't mind boycotting any and every entity involved with these scams.
Wow. Yeah. Finally. Something we agree on.
Yeah, we all know how well boycotting works in video games. All it takes is
nobody ever does it.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody ever does it, and if they do, all of a sudden, whatever that thing is now rare, and now everybody's got FOMO all over again, and it just falls right back where they were.
Oh man, two of the greatest internet moments ever was when everyone was trying to boycott Modern Warfare 2, and then all the ringleaders had a screenshot of a lobby playing together, and then the exact same thing happened with everybody trying to boycott Left 4 Dead 2. Where all the people who led the charge were all playing together and someone screenshotted it. It's just so... Internet boycotts are meaningless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely meaningless. Aaron Peterson said, I think they're silly, but I say that as a part owner of the Green Bay Packers, which is equally as silly since it means absolutely nothing. And yeah, I am as well.
True. It's a physical piece of paper that's actually backed by a company.
What the hell does that mean?
You can, the Green Bay Packers are the only team in the NFL that are actually owned by the city of Green Bay. They're not owned by like a single owner, like Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys. Jerry Jones, did I have the name right?
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
So they actually sell stock. You can buy a stock certificate. And I have one. I have a stock certificate. It's not like an actual, you can sell it, but it's not like going to go up in value or anything like that. It's just a static.
But it does give you privileges.
It does give you privileges. You get voting rights, those kinds of things.
How much did it cost?
I think the last one was like $300. Not 800. It was like 300.
I said 300.
Oh, I thought you said $800. I'm sorry. So
I said like 300.
I misheard you. I'm sorry. Gosh.
God.
But yeah, it's you're more or less contributing to the cause, and you can go to owner meetings kind of thing. They actually have owner meetings in the stadium.
Who knew the Packers were the most liberal team in football?
Right?
It's kind of hilarious that Aaron Rodgers is your star.
And it's in Wisconsin.
Right. Yeah, that's funny all around.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping over to Discord, Alan Scheck writes in, I don't fully understand the situation with NFTs in video games, but from what I understand, NFTs of the NFTs created by Ethereum, they take a huge toll on the environment. But this is not inherent to the idea of an NFT. It is simply because of a stupid decision made by crypto companies to require arbitrary and excessive amounts of useless calculations as a primary method of creating artificial value. Alan, you should have been on this episode. I hope that this aspect doesn't become a part of video game NFTs because we don't need our hobby contributing to that mess any more than it already is. Hey, point to the digital sales. The other thing is how creating a market of scarcity in the games essentially leads to actual gambling. There's actually a great video by People Make Games about ways this is kind of already happening in Roblox, starting at about the 20-minute mark. That needs to be very clear. It needs to be very clear in the packaging. Hot take, I know, that all games containing it should probably be rated adults only for that reason alone. I gotta tell you, if I could just quickly, hold on, I'll finish this comment. People under 18 should not be gambling. Honestly, the same thing is true about loot boxes. I know this seems excessive and it's pretty damning to the game, but I don't know another way around adding an actual adult activity into a game that is otherwise suited for kids. Imagine if a game contained actual pornography or an actual gun, would it be treated any differently? Otherwise, I get it. It's cool to have unique items and for them to be worth something. Not something I care about at all, so maybe I'm biased as to where the priorities land. Alan, to your gambling point, I was honestly kind of frightened by the way that the kids at the Christmas gathering were so excited about their loot box money, and they all spent it right away, and it did kind of feel like being primed to be a gambling addict.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, loot boxes feel more akin to trading cards to me, which is not technically gambling, although it is pretty similar. But to me, it is the ease of access to loot boxes and the fact that the parents none of the parents knew what a loot box was who was buying the money for their kids.
Right.
So
it's like a gateway drug.
It does feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it needs to be adults only, but I do think something needs to be looked at with loot boxes for sure.
Have you noticed how many gambling machines are everywhere in towns.
Well,
I don't know what it's like in Kansas City.
Yeah, not really anywhere here. But in Rockford, when I visited, it is you guys have gambling machines in every gas station.
Every gas station,
not
every
just gas
bar.
station, but fast food places.
Dude,
starting to pop up.
I feel like at least half the gas stations I went into had a slot machine room in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, almost all of them have a slot machine.
Never seen that before in my life. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sure it exists. I haven't seen it outside of like truck stops.
And yet people are against a casino. Like
yes.
we have a casino. Like it's just.
Oh man, I had a lot of heated conversations with Rockford citizens over that trip about the gambling.
Oh man, I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that, but yeah.
You guys get
at what point? Where does it become not gambling? Where do you draw the line between loot boxes not being gambling, or at least being? I don't know. It feels like kids aren't smoking; they're just doing cloves. You know what I mean? Like they're not really smoking.
Yeah,
I remember that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really hate to say it, but the whole gambling and all that to me is essentially just a poor tax.
Yeah. But that's for a political podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just my take. Mark Szymanski against. Why are we monetizing pretend crap? He used a stronger word. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
Couldn't agree more. Mark.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. That was our topic.
Did used to be. We used to not worry about these things. What happened to that?
What do you mean?
Not even just all this nonsense, you know? It used to be the pretend crap you bought was like more maps and it was substantive. Now we just buy dances. Animations. We buy animations.
I still remember like when microtransactions first showed up on the market, and like when they were like legitimately like 99 cents for a skin, and we were like, oh my god. And now it's just like, pay $40 to have this one dance that this one character in this one game can do.
They kill us with a death by 1,000 cuts. We just saw 99 cents. We're like, yeah, I guess it is micro. And then it just grew. And then all of a sudden your skin costs $20 in Avengers.
And now they're macro transactions.
It's a third of the game's cost if you want a new suit for your character.
And here's the thing that I actually was thinking about throughout this entire discussion is ever since I was a kid, I have done everything I can to try to get other people into this hobby that I love so much. Because growing up, I was looked down on for being a gaming nerd. It wasn't popular at all. And now that we're here and gaming is as popular as it is, we still have all the people in the world that still look down on us and tell us that we're children for playing games and all that. But now we've got the rest of this seeping into it, and it makes me think, I don't want to sound like a hipster. You know what I mean? Like, I liked it before it was cool. That's not what I'm going for. But it sounds like it. Like, I'm rethinking my thought
for the NFTs.
Yeah, right. Well, it's because I don't care about it, and that, I don't know. I just don't like my favorite hobby changed into something that feels gross and disgusting more than it already is. Because it's been gross and disgusting for a long time, and I don't know. Doing all
Here's the nice thing: if you don't like the NFTs, don't play the games that don't have them.
Well, they do have them.
I don't play the games that do have them. Just steer clear of them. That's what I plan on doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Just like altogether, I'm just gonna. I mean, that sounds like you're asking me to boycott a game that I'm interested in playing just because it has affiliation with NFTs.
Well, no,
If I still want to play the game, I still want to play the game.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Yeah, I'm not interested in going back to it.
That's your call to make, yeah.
I mean, I didn't have any interest in playing that one anyway. That's a personal.
No, I'm just saying, like, if Gotham Knights was like, yeah, we're loading this thing up with the NFTs, I'm going to be less inclined to play it because I don't want them to have any kind of like PR power of like, look, X amount of players playing this. I don't want to contribute to that,
So you would actually not play Gotham Knights, hypothetically speaking?
It depends on how strongly the integration was. If they were like, every item is a unique NFT, yeah, I would not play that game.
Mm.
How interested would you be if Breath of the Wild 2 was nothing but NFTs?
Well, didn't he not like the first one?
No, I like the first one.
I always forget your opinion.
I just liked Horizon better.
That's an insane thing to say out loud.
But like, let's just say it got to the point that the next Zelda game was literally nothing but NFTs. Like you had to purchase or you had to play a certain way to acquire.
I mean, if it comes down to interfering with my game, my experience, then I have no interest in playing it. But if it's something that like has NFTs as an option, is the right thing to do to just not have anything to do with that game ever again?
I think it comes down to the individual,
right?
And your willpower.
I mean, when it comes to games I love, I have very little willpower.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see when and if it comes to that.
Yeah, look, no, I get it, man. If the next Nier game had nothing but NFTs, I'm sure I would still play it.
Right.
But yeah, you have to make those individual choices down to the game.
We all talk a big talk, and then when it comes down to
there's always going to be that one thing, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that one thing is multiple things for some people.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And for some weirdos, it's Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
It's just so weird, but wow, that was quite a discussion. Zach, thank you so much for taking the time to do some research. I feel a bit more educated. I still feel like I
feel like CB told you most of the stuff.
No, I know. I'm still like confused about the.
I'm kind of annoyed at all this homework if CB just knew everything.
I didn't know he knew. I should have assumed, but I just still have I just can't believe it takes that much energy to calculate a number. It's just insane to me.
If you really want a disturbing fact, and you can look this up off air, all those listeners out there, look up the combined energy usage of the entire Bitcoin blockchain.
Yeah.
It will disturb you on a whole new level.
I believe it. Well, let's go on and talk about next week. I think CB is going to be on again next week, and we're going to be talking about modern retro consoles. Things like the NES Classic, the SNES
the Atari
Classic,
VCS,
the Atari VCS, or would you even call the what's the new one?
The Television Amico.
The Amico.
Shout out to Tommy Tallarico.
Tommy Tallarico's new console. We're going to talk about those quote unquote modern retro consoles and discuss where if they do belong in the modern space, if they should be a thing, if we're interested in them. I'm looking forward to talking about that, as I'm sure CB is as well. But be sure to stay tuned on the social media outlets so that you can respond to that comment as well. But in the meantime, that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Zach, any parting words or anything that you'd like to share with people to try out before we get out of here?
If you're on the fence about Peacemaker, watch Peacemaker. I think that
all right, you convinced me.
The show is incredible. People know that I don't really binge shows, and I went to check out the first episode, and I ended up watching all of them that were available.
There's only 3, right?
Yeah, there's only 3, but it's not something I normally do because I have a crippling mental block where every episode of TV I watch, I'm like, well, I could be playing a game. I could be doing this. I could be doing that.
Right.
And so, but Peacemaker. Put that aside for me. It's just so incredibly entertaining, and it's wild to see a TV show entirely written and directed by James Gunn. And I don't know. It's just it has a lot of quieter moments than I expected, I guess I would say, as well.
Interesting. I will check it out. I think you sold me on it over text, even though I did not like the Suicide Squad movie. But
I think even if you didn't like that, there's stuff to like here. But
okay,
I'm not really a big pusher for media.
All right.
I'm just saying I don't like to put guns in people's head like, you got chicks out, man. That's just not me.
No, I try not to. I when I like something, I want someone else to enjoy it and have someone to talk to about it that enjoyed it as much as me too. So,
sure.
CB, how about you?
Well, I'm hoping I'm not stealing your thunder with this, Scott.
Okay.
But for anybody out there who hasn't seen it, watch Station 11.
Well, I mentioned it last week.
I know, but I binged the entire series. I watched the final with you.
Yeah, we did. We watched the finale together.
Is it a limited series or is it a
limited run series?
Okay.
One and done.
That's so exciting.
And it is hands down some of the best writing I've seen in TV in a while.
Yeah. It
It
was fun to like watch all 9 episodes individually, and then we got together to watch the finale.
I know, it's a very
together.
adorable couple thing to do.
That was kind of fun.
It was. Actually, this is like what, the second or third TV series now that we've done this.
Well, we did it with
Ozark.
Ozark, I had already seen it, so I was rewatching it while you watched it for the first time. The final.
Hey, season.
Which, by the way, that comes out next month.
Wait, the fourth season finally?
Yeah, it comes out.
Well, part 1.
Part 1 of the 4th season.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're splitting up season 4 into 2 7-episode
they're doing
halves.
the AMC thing.
Yeah,
I feel that was probably going to be needed. So, but yeah, Station 11, beautiful, beautiful piece of television.
I really enjoyed it, and I know people are making comparisons to The Leftovers, which I can see the comparisons there, but the difference here is that there are likable characters, whereas in The Leftovers there were not. Maybe
I was going to say, to me, it felt a lot more like The Last of Us, just minus clickers.
Yeah. It was a little disturbing to watch, it being about a pandemic. Because some of the stuff felt very real, or like, it was scary to think about the possibilities. But man, and just how good was the acting?
Oh, phenomenal!
Yeah.
Because I can't remember his name, but he was also the lead in Yesterday.
Oh yeah. Himesh
okay.
Patel.
Yeah,
that was a good.
And
movie.
like the moment I saw him, I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he was great too. So
good movie about a terrible band.
Wow, that is
shut your mouth.
bold.
They're not terrible.
I will drive to Kansas City and slap you.
I don't really have an opinion on the Beatles, to be honest.
I do, but I'm not going to have that recorded either. So, well, thank you everybody for listening to The Gaming Outsider. Would like to remind you again that it is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com if you'd like to check out his other work. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.